Que toques el cielo, pero no el suelo, sí que créetelo. Quítate el velo velozmente, bro. Vívete tu sueño, pero despierta a la hora que toca. Esa hora, motherfucker, wake up.
Yo me meo en tu cubata antes. Bebo, matar ratas con tan. Voy al bosque a lo Tarzán mientras enlazan. Fraternidad en casa con su polo Hollister a estrenar. Te han dejado en el desván de su pensar un mar de ideas. Con grandes ideas ardiendo en chimeneas antiguas. Ríe Dios al ver que te santiguas. Su mente y su luz son ambiguas como mi voz. Lo que para ti es un don, para mí una misión fija. Mis versos son de ninja, tu poesía papija. Que no te fijan, que hay más allá del cristal.
La matriz hipnotiza.
Mi energía os hace trizas. Yo en mi nave nodriza, comiendo pizza con piña, moldeo toroides, vórtices. Con mi mente arborescente, junto con Isis y Milos para crear Pegasos en nace, pero cánticos lemurianos me hacen sentir como en mi hogar. La noche se avecina y se afilan colmillos de vampiras psíquicas. Frecuencias del malestar las alimentan. Nuestro deber es tenerlas raquíticas. Bazooka espacial enlatada con la función del sol central, causando desinformaciones bíblicas. Todo lo existente es relativo, o al menos la materia que te describo. Soy antipersonas como las minas y mino. La moral del que venga a negar lo que digo con la mira puesta en su ombligo. Si me retiro del partido que sea como Figo.
Conocidos en me la pela, en verdad.
En mi barrio me conocen más que tú a tu enamorada. No hay payasos, solo en anémonas. Cigarcolada, Andrómeda eres.
Conserva tus células primigenias o no podrás volar. El virus se llevó a unos cuantos, pero el ego a más. Se elevó el más a la opulencia. Digo, ciencia,
De basto y Satanás
en el espejo, Jesucristo, la conciencia del flow. La tierra y su paz están vibrando. Los sentimientos son la trampa que están manejando. Los hilos de los cuales tú y tu ego estáis medio colgándonos. Que yo sea un superdotado, ni tú. Solo lo que tú sabes de mierda yo sobre el cosmos.
que los tuyo y profundamente sano me lo tomo. Si no ya hubiera ido a visitar al doctor, porque no soy devoto, mucho menos un santo. Yo jamás voto, pero
que tendría que sudarme todo la polla, pero pienso que hay que vivir por algo. Que en el letargo cure lo enfermo, sabor amargo, remedio eterno. Me pregunto a toda esa gente que le he hecho y canalizo desde el cielo un verbo al cielo.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. Content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright
Isaiah
law.
chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Miras a otro lado, los fantasmas del pasado no se detendrán hasta verte derrumbado. Peores lo hemos pasado. Andaba a golpes con la tristeza, me aportó riqueza, me otorgó sabiduría, pues se dibujaba en todas mis piezas. Yo con alegría le daba color después. La aguja sigue girando, tiempo parece se burlar de mí. Dijo que sanaría esperando, pero creo que la espina aún sigue ahí. Con los dedos lo voy palpando, cierro los puños, escapa de aquí. Agonizando, no me espera el tiempo, no voy a esperar por ti.
Nuestras huellas en la orilla se han borrado por la marea. Si esas estrellas ya no brillan, las entiendo pa' que veas. Sea donde sea, bajo la tormenta o dentro de la odisea, donde arañas cubren el cielo de tela, los aviones nadan y los barcos vuelan. Aunque parezca que va bien, no sabes bien si va mal. Besos que pueden doler, ojos que pueden matar. Tengo mi alma en el almacén encerrada, mi corazón está en huelga, mis sentimientos en ámbar. Gente, Calamala dijo que estaría presente. Fallaron como nunca, se fueron para siempre. Millones razones para vengarme, pero a veces duele más actuar indiferente.
Como no quieren ver ahogados, tenemos branquias y cerrados los bronquios como la mente de un guardia. Yo soy la montaña y vine con la cordillera. Más cojones que tu ganga tiene una madre soltera. Tú cúbrete si suena mi tu. A mi lado tengo soldados fumando de su palulú. Ni un conjuro de grimorio me lo salva del velorio. Pa' tener pila valorio se matan vestidos de emporio. Yo no quiero una pistola, estoy soñando que la vida que quería me llega a tiempo. Desde que yo la vi sola, loco ando. Vino a verme cuando el sol se estaba poniendo y se dejó una pluma y se perdió en la bruma.
Arda y por dentro la llama, no puedo contener la ras. Churruscao el corazón, el armazón no puede llegar a pesarme más. Si abro la boca, tu tumba al suelo, me muelo a diario y sobrado de gas. Escupo ristas perfectas, paladas de versos eternos, no mueren jamás. Cuando acabe mi condena, me vi muy solo y perdido. Cada vez más negra la flema, más elegante el problema, pero planté cara a todos mis enemigos. Recuperé las ganas, las fuerzas y el garbo. Dedico requiems a mis diablos, que aquí estoy vivo de milagro. Delicadas flores crecieron entre los cardos. Me dicen vienes más delgado que de costumbre. Será de tanto que he bailado en el alambre, que a tanta pena es mejor no ponerle nombre. Llevamos la música en vena, nuestra sangre.
Uno, dos, tres. Okay, cool. It's working. All right. Here we go, man. Here we go. All right. How's everybody doing? Okay. So, hope y'all doing well. Let me try to do something. Actually, you know what? I'll try it next time. I'm not going to do it now. For the sake of, first of all, I want to, appreciate y'all who are here today. Welcome. Guaracuya. I think I said it right. Guaracuya, right? Yeah, they do that, man. I don't know why. I don't know. I honestly, man, don't know what the hell that's about, because I don't have no control. Well, I mean, I guess I could block people, but I don't do that. If you're like just typing away, I don't do that. So that's definitely YouTube, man. And apparently, this channel is offensive to them. I mean, you know.
A ver, que alguien me explique.
Anyhow, for the sake of time, I kind of want to play some. Give me a second here, real quick. Let me see. Hello. Give me a second. Let me see if I can figure something out here. Let me see. Hold on. All right, I'm trying to.
I'm you and I.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
Oh, hey, I'm a website builder.
Hold on. All right, so let me try it like this. Try to do something different, a little background, so we can kind of get going. It'll keep me in a rhythm because I know what time that is, and I'm kind of want to go at a certain speed to get through this. All right, so let's begin. Class is called, as I've told you guys before, and show, whatever you guys want to call it. I quite frankly don't give a damn. I don't. So yeah, it is what it is. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to this wonderful channel. Oh, that's right. I did on the other one. So anyways, the class, as you know, I called it EUROMERICANS, a legacy of hate. Okay? Come on. A little slow today. But because of that, I'm going to start a certain way. I'm going to read some books. I'm going to touch on what I left before, show you some videos. You know how I go, and then I'm out. Let's go. Hosea 10:10. It is my desire that I should chastise them, and the people shall be gathered against them, when they shall bind themselves in their two furrows. For better, easier interpretation, I will attack this sinful people and punish them. Nations will join together against them, and they will be punished for their many sins. So it doesn't translate it the same on this one, because maybe they didn't know what the hell this meant. When they shall bind themselves in their two furrows. If you ever gone harvesting, furrows are like those V-shaped little, path where you throw the seed in between. And Ephraim is a heifer that is taught and love it to thread out the corn. But I passed over her fair neck, and I will make Ephraim to ride, and Judah shall plow. So you need that kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I'm not a professional farmer, but you guys understand. There's like this piece of metal that the heifer pulls, and it escarba la tierra. It turns it over, and Jacob shall break its clods, because underneath that first layer of dirt, so to speak, you have what's called clods, clay matter. In this case, is all of our stupidity. So together, through the punishment of what our Father is going to do against us or towards us, that is going to make us understand what stupidities we've been going through, or at least the stupid decisions that we've been making and had no clue why. Oh yeah, sow yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy, and break up your fallow ground. So we're laying the foundation now. We're breaking through this dirt, this dry, fallow ground that our gente has been having for so long. Because for so long, we thought otherwise of ourselves. For so long, we really believed what others told us. Just the regular people that lived in huts, and somehow, some way, civilized white people changed our life. That's the summary. Okay? For it is time to seek the Lord till he come and rain righteousness upon you. Then it says, you have plowed wickedness, ye have reaped iniquity. So now, when you look at this is a whole process of breaking ground. Breaking ground. Scriptures always talk about learned about your forefathers. So we're breaking ground, and honestly, family, I'm very happy. I kind of like what had been, it's like the Spirit is starting to kind of, okay, like now I'm kind of taking a different avenue, and you're going to notice it. I'm not even going to talk about it. You're just going to notice this channel kind of starting to move over a different rate. Okay? So now, this is from the same book that I had showed you before, written in 1823, I believe, right? It's by Barbara Simmons. And unlike those other channels, like Culomiado's channel, where he likes to run to the white man and hide under their armpit, it's called Old World, whatever. They come to this channel and like the nerve, okay? It is just a bunch of white guys supposedly saying that this is the old world. So I'm gonna fall again for the trap. You're gonna want me to believe the enemy, while at the same time you got Culomiados altering pictures. Literally altering pictures, not showing the real history. So what we're going to do is we're going to show the real history. Barbara Simmons, the 10 tribes of Israel, historically identified. And anybody here that says, oh no, that's debunked, fine. You don't have to believe me. Go ahead and continue to wear your feathers, and maybe in another 30 million years, your spiritual God will come here and save your Indian ass. And I don't mean that to my gente. You know who I'm talking about? The real $5. Yeah, those mofos. Okay? So now, we remember this. Okay? This is a very good, nice book. I'm telling you, not very good. Get it. And read it thoroughly and slowly. When I started thinking of how much history we've lost, and when you start putting together the puzzle as to who was involved and how they did it, it's kind of sad in a way, It's a good feeling at the same time, but it's painful, to be quite frank with you. So let's start reading this real quick. This is on page 27. Migration. America has been discovered nearly 2,000 years before reflecting minds had begun to inquire into the peculiarities of its first inhabitants. And as they, instead of collecting evidence for corresponding facts, gave at once their own speculation as the end of inquiry, we have only a mass of contradictory theories. Well, that is very true. Here's one particular one that they like to share, and this stupid damn heathen here, okay? This right here, this is a Khazar who likes to promote Zionism. Yes, Prager's, okay? And then they have this West African lady who has a American experience here, has the audacity to let the puppeteers control her mind, her little smart mind, and insinuate that this is our history. Remember, we just read that there are some people that came here, and then they created this history. This is what we do know. We know this because this is what they taught us. And you know what, family? They made us believe this. For sure they did. Let's go. I've showed you guys this before.
And now for a brief history of slavery. Here's the first thing you need to know. Slavery was not invented by white people. It did not start in 1619 when the first slaves came to Jamestown. It existed before then. It did not start in 1492 when Columbus discovered the New World. In fact, when the intrepid explorer landed in the Bahamas, the native Taino tribe hoped that he would help them defeat their aggressive neighbors, the Caribs. The Caribs enslaved the Taino and, on occasion, served them for dinner. Slavery existed in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. The word slave actually comes from the Slavs of Eastern Europe. Millions of them, all white by the way, were captured and enslaved by Muslims in the 9th century and later by the Ottoman Turks. Slavery existed when the Roman Empire controlled the Mediterranean and most of Europe from the 1st through the 5th centuries. Slavery existed when Alexander the Great conquered Persia in the 4th century BC. It was so common that Aristotle simply considered it natural. The slave master model was just how the world operated in the great philosopher's day. Slavery existed during the time of the ancient Egyptians 5,000 years ago. As far back as we can go in human history, we find slavery. As renowned historian John Steele Gordon notes from time immemorial, slaves were a major item of commerce. As much as a third of the population of the ancient world was enslaved. Here's the second thing you need to know. White people were the first to formally put an end to slavery. In 1833, Britain was the first country in the history of the world to pass a Slavery Abolition Act. They were quickly followed by France, who in 1848 abolished slavery in her many colonies. Then, of course, came the 13th Amendment in the United States Constitution. After centuries of human slavery, white men led the world in putting an end to the abhorrent practice. That includes the 300,000 Union soldiers, overwhelmingly white, who died during the Civil War. Now, am I saying that this makes white people better than anyone else? Of course not. My purpose here is to simply tell the truth, and the truth is that human history is complicated. No one, regardless of skin color, stands guiltless. Yet today we are never told to consider the murderous Persian Empire or the cannibalism of indigenous tribes of North and South America or the heinous actions under the imperialistic Muslim, Chinese, Mongol, or Japanese empires, to name just a few. Instead, we're told that slavery is a white phenomenon. And like all persistent lies, this lie spawns a bunch of other lies. On social media, I come across extraordinary depictions about how Africans lived like pharaohs before Europeans came and laid waste to their paradise. I wish any of this were true, but it's not. It's a fantasy. The truth is that Africans were sold into slavery by other black Africans, and in many cases, sold for items as trivial as gin and mirrors. Whites didn't go into the interior and round up the natives. They waited on the coast for their black partners to bring them black bodies. The stark reality is that our lives had very little value to our ancestors. Here's the third thing you need to know. If you think slavery is a relic of the past, you're wrong. There are some 700,000 slaves in Africa today, right now. That's the lowest estimate that I could find. Other sources say there are many more. For context, that's almost twice as many slaves as were ever brought to the United States.
That's the history that we were taught. There's a lot of garbage that this West African lady is spitting. There's a reason why I keep calling her West African, is because that's what she is. Okay? And I think she's Christian, supposedly. It says, "Thou shalt not lie." You know, not even worth using a derogatory name towards these people anymore, because I realize that these Ivy League graduates are much more stupider than I thought I was. Like, I thought I wasn't a very smart man, but now that I know what I know, the wisdom of the Most High is not like the wisdom of these idiots. So let's read it again. It says, America had been discovered nearly 2,000 years before reflecting minds had begun to inquire into the peculiarities of its first inhabitants. And as they, instead of collecting evidence from corresponding facts, gave at once their own speculation as the end of inquiry, like the dummy we just listened to. And just because she has a tan, that makes it right. Quite frankly, the second part is also Britain wasn't the first ones to abolish slavery. It was actually Mexico in 1829. Because you had Negroes going to Texas, pendeja, running from slavery. And that's in Britain. Here's another part. So the reason I'm doing this in orange is because since I'm in this topic, I'm gonna kind of like just use a couple channels, a couple pages to smack these other ones that look like her, and that's claimed that they are our people, that they are the natives of this land. Okay, so for you individuals that don't care to read, don't know how to read, don't want to read, have no concept of reading, you want to listen to culo miados, el pinche miado culo, when he wants to tamper with evidence in regards to pictures and, hey, look, I look like this, and hey, look, they look like that, and then they got feathers, Jack. Okay, well, let's read some of these older books. It says, to their amazement, they discovered no Negroes. Once again, to their amazement, they discovered 0 Negroes. Wobbleism. What is going on? Yeah, she's the definition of an oxymoron. The total, calling the kettle black, calling the pot black, or how's that go? I don't know, something like that. So, anyways, to their amazement, they discovered no Negroes. 0. Now, let me just show you a couple more things. The people, men and women, although they are such a vast multitude of tribes or nations in such diverse climates, appear nevertheless like the children of one family. So, once again, culomiados. And then what's the other guy? I'm just here to make you think. You look like a sapo with dreads. You guys don't understand what this means, because if that was the case, then they wouldn't say they didn't see no Negro. They would have been like, hey man, like, they all look like the ones over there. But no, it says here that those people that they saw here, they're, regardless of like the shade of color, we all look the same. Aztecs and Mexicans, or Aztecs, so-called Mexicans. Okay, so I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. Okay, here goes again. Let me read it. Aztecs, Mexicas, they were the last people who settled in Anahuac. Sorry. They formerly dwelt in Aztlan, Asia. And that covers our vast land, by the way. You that don't understand what Asia means, you think it's just Chinese people. That's again, I'm not baffled no more. Now I know why. You have told us that we were illiterate, that you kept us illiterate, you kept us dumb from our history, You kept a lot of who we were. You taught us, like you put us in a particular system that doesn't benefit us spiritually. It's not about us, which nobody would want to eat off of that food. It's only history that feeds your spirit. They were the last people who settled in Anahuic. They formerly dwelt in Aztlan, a country north of the Gulf of California. You know how culomiados and all these idiots want to use pictures of supposedly Californians and they look negros, but it were driven or drawn by people that never came to this continent, right? It says of California, judging by the route of their immigration, according to Buturini, a province of Asia. Once again, Asia is a vast land. Before you go and get drunk on your thought process, slow your roll. Don't let the wool hit you. Page 47. Just since I'm on this topic, I just kind of want to say some stuff. This is why they want what you have, family. Because your history is very important. The name of the chief who conducted the people is Messi, from whence the proper name of the Mexicans is derived. Let me read this before it so you can see. As the authority of Herrera, royal historiographer of the Indians, our gente, not African-looking people, our gente, will have weight with those who consider that his office must have given access to a variety of curious documents relative to Aztlan. It may be proper to add what he says in the 10th and 11th chapter of the second volume in the third decade of the same migration. Never did the devil hold such familiar converse with men as he, Vitsiliputli, and accordingly he thought proper in all things to copy the departure from Egypt and the pilgrimage performed by the children of Israel. The name of the chief who conducted the people was Meshi, or Messi, from whence the proper name of the Mexicans is derived. The account of the Mexican migration, Barrera, corresponds with the former of all the essential circumstances. Check this out. Remember I said about the name of our father, Yahoo? Yahoo? Remember Yahoo? Look at that right there. Yao. Again. Now, I also want to just bring this up. You know, when you see Huacan or Hua, it's Hua, Huach, Huacan, Huachan. Well, just turn the H into an R. What do you get? Huac or Ruach? Open your minds, family. Mexicans singing in the court of their temples, the great exploit of Huitzilopochtli, that they, like the Jews, recorded in hymns the miraculous events of their own history. This is extremely important, family, because here we're going to start seeing why they want your history. You see, culomiados and then the frog looking dude with dreads can say all they want to say and use all kinds of pictures that they want to use. But when it comes down to the real facts, I'm going to show you some things that none of them can ever explain. If you are from this continent, and again, I'm covering some things here, but I'm going to go forward. Don't trip. Then how come some of these things you don't have? So family, this isn't anti anything. This is showing you what they want to take from you. Yeah, he's culomiado scissor hands. Culo apestado miados, bro. Hey, listen. I would love anytime, anyone, any wabo, any culomiado baby, any culomiado liquor of his huevos wants to come and debate me. You're more than welcome to him. You can even have him come here. But he will never talk to us. He talks to negros and güeros. That's why. And listen, I'm no threat, man, but we can do it another way too, man. I'm just Just keeping it real, bro. Like that's how much I dislike you. They carried before this letter a kind of painted roll of papyrus, 90 feet in length, 1 in breadth, and as thick as a finger. A number of young men carried this roll, supporting it very carefully. Remember, the scriptures talk about roll. Okay? So look, this is an important point that you guys have to understand. When you read these scriptures, that's why it's important to study, obviously, like anything else, okay? Let's see. Oh, no, this goes. Here, I'm going to show you something real quick. I think it's Sirach. Is it Sirach? Let me see if I can find it. Sirach 47. 43? No, it's probably 47. Oh, wait, 44? Oh, man. Hold on. I think I know. An 8. Let's see. Okay. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it like this. Sirach. Is regarding the scripture that talks about. Oh, here it goes right here. Man, I was way off. So it says here, look, 2nd Ezra 14:39. Then opened I my mouth, and behold, he reached me a full cup, which was full as if it were with water, but the color of it was like fire. And I took it and drank it. Oh, hold on a second. Where is it at? Oh my God. Is this the one that I'm talking about? Oh, I think it's Isaiah, man. I can't remember, family. Anyways, let me continue. The number of young men carried this roll, or like a scroll, supporting it very carefully with arrows. That is, that it might not be injured on its surface, being entirely covered with paintings in which all the mighty acts which he, Huitzilopochtli, I think that's how you say it, was believed to have performed in their favor, and all his titles and epithets which they had bestowed upon him in return for the victories which he had granted them were recorded. Okay, so now it says here, look, they walked in procession before their false god, singing his proverbs and glorious deeds. Okay, so watch this. Check this out. Here's where you get stuck, culo miado. And this is where you all wobbles get stuck. Because I know this for a fact. Okay, in case you guys don't know this, watch this real quick. Exodus 12:39. And they baked unleavened cakes of dough, which they brought forth out of Egypt. Okay? Or Exodus 29:2. And unleavened bread and cakes unleavened tempered with oil and wafers. So I'm like, wafers. That's just one. Okay. Well, what is wafers? Well, wafers look like, show you. These are wafers. Okay. Wafers son como, let's see, wafers. Let's see if I can get it here. Boom. Thin cake. You see that? A thin cake. Now, in case you don't know this, culomiados, what is this, family? What exactly are these? You guys know about sopes, right? Thin cakes. Thin cakes. So now that's just one of them. That's just, oh, no, that's not even it. So I'll show you. Look, check this out. Wafers are like thin cakes, right? So check this out. Now here's another one. It also mentions that unleavened bread, cakes, unleavened cakes, right? Unleavened cakes. So check this out. You guys know what tamales, right? Now tamales are made out of corn. Okay, in case you guys don't know, tamales are made out of corn. All right. So now, if you guys don't know this, tamales are also called. Here, I'll show you. Right? Pasteles. De Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Look what they call pasteles. You see what they call pasteles? They call tamales pasteles. Okay? And unleavened bread, cakes, unleavened, meaning tamales, and wafers like torta, like masa, like a thick, flat bread. Thick, flat bread. This is why they want this from you. Check this out. The processions and dances terminated at sunset, at which hour precisely they made an offering of tamales, a kind of bread offering which the Mexicans, like the Jews, presented at their temple, and which was only lawful for the priests to eat. This is why the Wobbles want your history. And Colombiano, listen, you can continue to alter all your crap. You can continue to keep licking their huevos. Quite frankly, you want to know something? Oh, hold on, let me hear what you say, bro. Empanadas, we taínos call pastelitos. Exactly, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Exactly the same thing. Empanadas, you call them, well, some people call them empanadas. I think in Central they call them empanadas. We call them tamales or tamal. You guys call them pasteles or pastelitos. Puerto Rico, they call them pasteles. Well, I guess in your island, they call them pastelitos, right? Exactly. So, again, that's why they want this history, because they know they can't touch it. So the only way to attack you is by pictures and assumptions and ha. No, you dummies are very, very, you're lost. It doesn't matter what angle. You should have, man, you guys should have done, I don't know how to say it, man. Just the Most High. He does what he does, man. It's so beautiful. So now, let's continue to move on again. We have some examples of some people, what they say, that we were nothing. That we were eating people. That's what the African girl said. That we ate people. That we ate ourselves. Little does she know that people in Africa are cannibals to this very day. I'm just saying. And then white people, when they came here in Virginia, they ate themselves as well. So I don't understand how come you Ivy League people don't know history, or unless you do it and know it and care not to express it. Page 31. We may therefore refer them to the former origin and conclude that they're Asiatic. Again, remember, people, you think Asian, kind of like when you think illegal immigrant or illegal alien, what do you think about? Now, you don't think of a Cuban, you don't think of an African, you don't think of a white person. No, you think of a Mexican. So when we say Asiatic, don't think Asian, okay? Remember that. Watch that shit from your foreheads. It says here, concluded that their Asiatic progenitors, having settled in those parts of America where the Russians have discovered the proximity of the two continents, meaning Alaska, spread gradually over the various regions. The Mexican, watch this, family. This is why it is extremely important that you read about yourself, about our people, and what has occurred. You have to understand the importance of them erasing your history, because we're the only nation of people, sincerely, that doesn't know where we came from. Asians know, white people know, Africans know, Arabs know, people from India know, except you. The Mexicans point out, and again, when I'm reading this, it's particularly talking about, in this book, Mexicans and Peruvians, but it's also mentioning a bunch of different tribes. They're targeting these two, but let's listen. The Mexicans point out, and remember, we all came together, okay? We all came together. So there's no tribe tripping here, fam. Do not bring that attitude here. The Mexicans point out their various stations as they advance from the interior province. And it is precisely the same route which they must have taken if they had been immigrants from Asia. Okay? So now, Dr. Williams, in his history of Vermont, remarks these straits are but 18 miles wide and they are full of islands. The Indian tradition says the sea is eating them up. What? That's why when I find older maps, there are islands between those two particular parts. So now, let's continue. Again, we're going to slice and dice and move through, all right? It says here, page 32. It says they all coincide in their account relative to the primitive settlers of America, who were ignorantly styled American savages. Exactly. Because that's what she did. We were savages, and that the Tainos were afraid of guess us here in the mainland because we would eat you guys. And then that supposedly, oh, it was so bad for black folks. And supposedly the same people that enslaved you are the same ones that saved you. No wonder she married a white guy. Yeah, make it make sense. They all coincide in their account relative to the primitive settlers of America who were ignorantly, no, stupidly, not ignorant. They're not ignorant. They're very clear of what they were doing. Styled American savages. That they were all of one stock, namely of the 10 tribes, who were carried away by the Assyrian kings of Halah and Habor. We know that story, right? Who in a short time made their way towards East Asia. You see this here? See this here? This coincides with the writings of El Padre Valera. Check this out. Watch this. And I wasn't going to bring this out, but I think it'd be good. Watch this. Oh, there it goes right there. Not that one. It's not that one. This one right here. All right, this is from, Jesuits and the Incas, I believe. The Peruvian history was in page 1. The Peruvian history was a major theme in Valera's writing. His Historia Occidentalis, History of the West, appears to have included accounts of the early origins of the Native Americans, of the Peruvian dynasty before the Incas, and of the Inca ruler themselves. Throughout the remaining fragments of this work is material pertaining to the history of the Western Hemisphere prior to the time of the Incas. Okay? Although most of Valera's writings about the Inca people have been lost, portions of his history of American migration and the pre-Inca dynasty of Peru survived in his Relaciones de las Costumbres Antiguas. Check this out. Valera vehemently rejected the notion that the American Indians were the descendants of the lost tribes of Israel, a common theory in the 16th century. Okay? Remember that. So he didn't believe it. But check this out. Our Father works in a very beautiful way. Check this out. He didn't believe it, right? Few sections that remain of Valera's work on this subject, he apparently speculated that the people of the Americas originated from the ancient Chaldeans. For real, okay? Who once lived in plains of Shinar in the Persian Gulf. The chronicler wrote that the religion of the natives of Greater Florida, who looked like us, and the Caribbean islands were derived from the practices of Chaldeans, who worshipped only natural features such as lakes, springs, and stars. Who came out of the Chaldean family? Abraham. Likewise, he claimed that the faith of the first Peruvians was modeled on that of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans were renowned in biblical history for founding the city of Ur, where the ziggurats are that look just like our pyramids, from whence came Abraham, the father of the Hebrew nation. They were believed to have descended directly from Noah, and they became famous as learned astrologers, priests, and magicians. That's how come we understood that the day starts in sundown and ends in sundown. By linking the ancient Peruvians to the Chaldeans, Valera, who hated us, was placing the people of the New World into the framework of the biblical history. Valera considered the Chaldeans to be the ultimate ancestors of the people of Peru. It seems, however, that he viewed the Mexican natives, whom he called the race of terrible and cruel men, as a very separate people. In his writings, he argued that Mexicans have spread southward from Mexico and had peopled Central America and the tropical forests of South America. He believed that the natives of lowland of South America, whom he would have seen as a young boy, were descendants from the Mexicans. These people known in Quechua as Antis. But yet, like he continues to talk and says, but at the same time, there's the book right there. That book right there. The Jesuit and the Inca. Extraordinary Life of Padre Blas Valera. He didn't believe it. Okay? He didn't believe it. So now let's go here. I'll read this here. It is easily accounted for if the Mexican affirms one tribe remained in this country. Now let me skip that. There's a reason why I highlighted. Okay, here it goes. In connection with this is page 33. In connection with the facts that the Emperor of Russia holds that this day the sources of the Euphrates, and that the arm of the sea, which the tribes had crossed on their migration, is bordered by his empire. The following passage of scripture history, the last notice which we have of the 10 tribes after the expedition, expatriation, which that happened to us here too, coincidentally, is curiously illustrated. You remember the repatriation by taking us out of our own land here, like Operation Wetbag. 70% of those people that were deported were actually born in this side. Yeah, they took counsel among themselves. You guys know the story. 2nd Ezra 13:42, right? Narrow passage. Okay, so then it says here, the Mexican tradition is in perfect accordance with the preceding testimony. They affirm that they traveled through Aztlan or Asia and had 104 deciles during their migration, meaning that they had 104 stops as we came here. Let's continue. I'll go to page 30. Let's see, 30. Give me a second. 41. Let's go to page 41. Let's go through that. Remember, they said that when they found us that we were just a bunch of damn human flesh-eating, sacrificing baby, worshiping heathens. That supposedly they brought the white Jesus to save us and to civilize us and to make us like lovable, huggable white folks that have never hurt anybody, that has never put anybody in slavery, that has never fumigated our people, that has never raped our gente, that has never stolen land from us. They want us to be like them, like as if that stuff never happened. He wrote a history of journeying over the Aztecs and Mexicans to the country of the Anahuac, which MS was preserved in the Library of the Covenant of Jesuits. Thus also he writes of Siguencia, who, having a collection of ancient paintings and manuscripts, applied himself with assiduity to illustrate the antiquity of the kingdom. Besides with many mathematical, critical, historical, and poetical works composed by him, he wrote in Spanish the Mexican cyclography, a work of great labor also, the history of the Chichimeca Empire, of which he explains that he found in Mexican manuscripts and paintings concerning the first colonies which passed from Asia to America, and the event of the ancient nations established in Anahuac. Last page. Torcomeda's account is singularly confirmed by an original Mexican painting, which once formed a portion of the Historical Museum of Buturini. This painting consists of 23 pages folded in the usual manner of the Mexican painting. The first page contains a picture of Aztlan and the passage of the Mexican across an arm of the sea, like how we migrated from the east. And likewise, their arrival at Colhuacan in the first year of their lesser cycle, as also the representation of their god Huitzilopochtli, speaking to them through the mouth of a bird. If more detailed paintings of this migration had been saved, if more detailed paintings of this migration have been saved from the overwhelming destruction in which the annals of the New World were involved, for in Tezcuco or Tezcuco alone, according to Claveguero or Claveguero, Sumerrago. Do you guys remember him? First Bishop of Mexico caused a little mountain of paintings to be collected in the square of the marketplace and burnt. We should have been acquainted with the history of this pretended migration in its minutest circumstances. As a commentator, the national vanity of the Mexicans must have been highly flattered at believing themselves to be the chosen people of God. Sumarrego seems to have reasoned in the same style as the Mohammedan bigot of old, who, when Philipponus wrote entreating the caliph to preserve the historical manuscripts of the famous libraries in Alexandria, returned this answer: if the books agree in all points with the Alcorán, this last would be perfect without them, and consequently they would be superfluous. But if they contain anything repugnant to the doctrines and tenets of that book, they ought to be destroyed as being pernicious. Remember this book? This is called the Lutheran Newsletter, written in September 7th, 1900. He makes he writes, he's like against Catholicism. Watch one of the articles on the bottom. Watch what he says, and you'll see how much of a devil this guy really was. It says here, if you guys can see it, I'll do my best. I'm going to read it, so just don't worry about it. But it says here, Dr. S. Borton, I'm over here on this side, okay, relates the following about the first Bible printed in Mexico and the Christian Advocate. The printing press came to Mexico in 1539, for in that year there was printed in Mexico, in Spanish, a brief compendium of the Christian doctrine. That was the Ave Maria, Padre Nuestro, Credo, Diez Mandamientos, and Rosario. That's all that we were taught, nothing else. Okay, let me just show you. Let me show you so you don't think I'm lying. That's all that we were taught. If we were to learn anything outside of that, outside of those things, then you would die. This is from the Mysteries of Mexican Pyramids. Excellent book. Page 16. As the stand was stolen from natives, great famine ensued, yet heavy taxes were laid on the Indians. Those who failed to pay were tortured to death. Indians who refused to join the Catholic Church were horsewhipped, had their heads shaved, and were forbidden to hold office or title in their villages. Now, that's why we have black padres. We couldn't be padres. They could be. For failing to attend mass or practicing any old riots like what we just read, the Indian could receive 100 lashes. According to the Spaniards, because of Sumarraga, Indians were supposed to know only, not the whole book, not like you guys, only Our Father, Ave Maria, Credo, and 10 Commandments. Reading and writing were considered as dangerous as the devil. As the devil. So, let's begin again. The printing press came to Mexico in 1539, and for that year, there was printed in Mexico in Spanish a brief compendium of the Christian doctrine. That's all we could read. Like when you go to Catholic church and they give you like that little fake skinny book. That's it. It says a brief compendium of the Christian doctrine under the auspices of the famous bishop Juan de Zumarraga, the one we just read about, that burned all kinds of books, right? That was just 81 years before the Mayflower brought the first pilgrims to the Plymouth Bay. From 1539, pay attention, from 1539 through 1510, when the immortal Hidalgo raised the cry of Mexican independence, and I think it's 1810, I don't know, I think it says 1810, and during the 271 years of Spanish rule and misrule in Mexico, Spain not only did not give Mexico a Bible, but sternly prohibited the publication of any part of the sacred scriptures in the language of the Mexican people. That prohibition is still in force with regards to the printing of the Bible in any of the 52 different languages and dialects spoken in Mexico today. The first edition of the Bible in Mexico was printed in Latin and in Spanish in Mexico in the city in 1831 through 1833. That was the very first printed authorized Bible. It was in Latin and in Spanish. Now, family, none of us knew how to read and write, remember? It appeared in 25 volumes and an atlas and cost over $200, probably about 10 grand right now, in 25 books, like the old encyclopedias, that it still remained prohibited book to the great majority of the people. Anything repugnant, he says. Well, that's not even it. Zumarraga. This is from hold on, let me get rid of this. A second. Page 113, 155. Here, I'll show you this one first. I cannot remember which book I got this from. I'm going to read it in Spanish real quickly, okay? On the bottom part says, según es la creencia que los españoles tenían de los indios, es evidente que ellos no creyeron en que la Virgen María se apareció a Juan Diego. Zumarraga apenas pudo en 2 años 15 días construir una ermita en Tepeyaca para su imagen. Tenía la burla de los conquistadores que le dirían que no debían ayudar a la construcción de un templo que no tenía más fundamento que el cuento de un indio de Tolpetacle, I guess, murió el inquisidor Zumarraga impropia. So he died, right? But then it says here, y no pudo acabarlo, dice aquí, pero dejó este encargo a sus ayudantes, los franciscanos, los frailes más adictos a María, quienes desde el siglo XVIII, o desde el siglo XIII, defendieron y propagaron el dogma de la Inmaculada Concepción de la Virgen. So this is the same guy that brought the Virgin Mary thought concept that Juan Diego had seen her. And that's not true. Watch this. This is from my other book, Creencias Salvajes Bajo la Inquisición. Check this out. El primer obispo de México, el franciscano Fray Juan de Zumarraga, ¿ok?, parece haber dado prioridad a esa tarea de inquisidor. Fue a sus ojos el complemento indispensable de su obra indigenista, al mismo tiempo que creaba el Colegio de Santa Cruz de Tlatelolco para instruir en la doctrina cristiana y en el saber europeo. a los hijos de los caciques indios. Zumarraga perseguía a los caciques apóstatas, vueltos después del bautismo a su idolatría nativa. Gracias a eso disponemos de las actas de las declaraciones de los indios acusados por ese primer tribunal de la Inquisición, que comenzó a funcionar en 1536. You see this? So we just read earlier that that's when we were only taught those things, and they were not allowed to print any Bible in any of our languages since that time. La fe de los neófitos indios y sus observaciones de las disposiciones de la iglesia eran dudosas, pero el celo de Zumarraga lo llevó a exceso, que después que hizo quemar en público en 1533 al cacique de Texcoco y en el 1545 al de la Yanhuitlán, causaron las desapariciones del tribunal hasta 1570. Las instrucciones del inquisidor general a esa segunda tribunal previenen expresamente, no habéis de proceder contra los indios. Dice, el historiador dispone pues de una perspectiva de cerca de 10 años que coincide con el ministerio de Zumarraga. Let me see. Okay, no, that's not it. No wonder I couldn't find it. All right, so let's page 55. Hold on. Watch this real quick. This is page 113. And we're going to move on from this. It says, okay. La constancia con la cual ese sabio se dedicó a dotar a su patria de un pasado digno del presente de elección divina que acababa de conferirle la aparición de la Virgen del Tepeyec. El esfuerzo correlativo del poeta y del prosista para hacer que la antigua mitología mexicana consiguiera la dignidad literaria de la mitología helénica. So it's saying that our people had this belief of kind of like this mother goddess in a sense, okay? And he wanted to join them with the mythical Hellenistic mythology, or the Hellenistic mythology. Fueron las expresiones mismas de la afirmación de la sociedad criolla. Okay, now check this out. La glorificación del conquistador Cortés en la piedad heroica de don Fernando Cortés, obra escrita una docena de años más tarde. Solo esta aparente contradicción con el elogio de los soberanos aztecas. En este nuevo libro, principalmente destinado a mantener lo que su título promete, vemos a Cortés como fundador del Hospital del Amor de Dios, lo que le otorga el autor la oportunidad de inscribir una historia de la Ciudad de México después de la conquista. No nos sorprende una digresión como esta. Y era alguna ocasión en que poder decir dónde se apareció la imagen de María Santísima de Guadalupe al ilustrísimo obispo don Fray Juan Zumarraga. Dará licencia esta historia a quien no ha tenido otro fin en su escrito, tales cuales sino ilustrar a la patria. In a nutshell, sorry to read so much, but in a nutshell, what it's saying is that this man, Zumarraga, was the one and only creator of the Virgen Maria that appeared to Juan Diego, that we were only supposed to be learning those particular repetitive, preachings or repetitive, prayers, and destroyed all of our history, everything. from top to bottom. From top to bottom, destroyed all of our history. This is why, me personally, I believe it's important that you guys understand where you're from, what your history is, what was taken from you, and why it's literally like, if you don't think that these things matter, then I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. I really don't know what to tell you, because it should matter to you. And if it doesn't, then I don't know why you're here. And you know, the most difficult part for me while I'm reading, you know, the material, right, when I'm sitting by myself, is how we were so, I don't want to say obsessed, but we were very adamant about following the way of our Father, you know? And then that was taken from us. Now, just because we all fell doesn't mean everybody was not keeping the laws. And that's the painful thing, because when you look back and you see, like, man, we had a I mean, is it possible that the Messiah really gave us that name? Is it possible that he really did come here? I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And why take all of that history from us? Why reinvent it? If we're just Gentiles, if we're just heathens, why do we have all these other nationalities trying to take away what is rightfully ours? Because the pictures look a certain way. To me, reading the book, because I can go further into this material. I'm gonna come back to this book. My next class, in a couple of days, I'm gonna touch on it more and more. You're gonna see. It's time that, look, I feel that we've broken ground already. Yes, it was important to bring you the facts in regards to Psalms 83. Now we gotta eat. Now we gotta chew on some serious meat regarding your heritage and why they want to take it from you. Revelation 13:6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle. We are spiritual bricks, so to speak. We are the ones that are creating this spiritual tabernacle once again. And these are the people that have told us that we're not nowhere near our Father. And they are the ones now claiming that they are supposedly these people. So like, okay, if you are, then you are. But then now, when we are woken to this information, we're like scratching our head, like, well, you know, that kind of matches us a lot. Shit, man. Excuse my language. It's like, I don't know. It doesn't sound like you. It sounds more like me. And then that dwelt in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given to him over all kindred, all tongues, and all nations. Now we know what that is. I don't think that's complicated. I don't have to put thoughts in your mind. It's clear. All kindreds, all languages, and all kinds of nationalities. We see them here in America. And all that dwelt upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. You know, let me show you something real quick. Slain from the foundations of the world, man. That's a very important point. And all that dwelt upon the earth shall worship him. Now, a lot of schools will give you their belief I will tell you that there's no doubt in my mind. And quite frankly, you know, let me, maybe I'll show it later. Maybe I should show it later. Let me read it again. And all that dwelt upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of the life of the Lamb. I'm sorry, book of the life of the Lamb, slain from the foundations of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Who are these people? He's going to give you an example of who he's talking about. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So this nation, this he, right? Kind of like Israel's like a she, right? You know what I mean? Well, this he will make war. This he is a nation of kindred and tongues and nationalities. These he led people to captivity. These he will go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. How else can I express it? I showed you
Web.com's AI.
These are historical books here. These are you know, people that studied, right? Don't they care about people that study, correct? But yet now, in every angle, historically, they know who we are. And I'm going to also show you how even, and it just repeats itself. The nerve of them, they take your history, they take your land, and then they're not satisfied with the land they've taken. They want more of your land. And they don't do it. They don't even do it. These Christians, they don't even do it righteously. I'll show you how. Listen in.
Conducting interviews with migrants who crossed into the U.S. Your reaction to that answer: soon you will know who I am.
So I'm so happy that a video surfaced because there's an argument that we've made at the United States Supreme Court because we have one or two cases in the Supreme Court as we speak right now against the Biden administration about illegal immigration. And as the court weighs and considers our defense against the Biden lawsuit, they have to consider whether or not there is an invasion going on. I have asserted in court.
Invasion. Remember that word.
That there is an invasion going on in the United States of America, and that videotape typifies why there is such an invasion. That is a threat to the United States of America, what he said. But it's not a one-off threat. We see things like that happen every single day. So, Maria, my hope is that the United States Supreme Court and courts across the country, they see exactly what's happening on our border. It's not what happened under Bush or under Trump or under Obama. This is something completely different that has never happened before in the history of the country. This is an invasion by people we don't know who they are, where they're coming from, or the danger they may pose. And so it's right for Texas to have taken the steps that we have taken to crack down on the illegal crossing, to declare an invasion and use every tool we can to do the job that Biden is not doing, and that's to try to deny illegal entry into our country.
Yeah, and that invasion happened after Joe Biden walked into the Oval Office when he first started his term and started reversing all of President Trump's border security. So, Governor, I ask you, do you have evidence that in Texas you see things like theft and murder and upset? Do you have evidence that some of that is the result of potential gotaways or potential illegals in your state right now?
So, Maria, just as one example, there was a horrific murder of a young teen cheerleader in a high school a little bit north of where the border area is, and this was a few months back. Maria, things like this happen way too often, and Fox News has reported multiple crimes by illegal immigrants over the past couple of months, and this is something happening every single day. Wow. But what we don't know is the full extent of the terror that has been imported into the country because of all the people who are on the terrorist watch list. We know the record number who've been apprehended, but people on the terrorist watch list, they pay more to not be apprehended. No one knows how many terrorists are in the country because of the open border policies allowed by Biden. One last real quick thing, Maria. People forget how secure a border was. Trump put in place 4 policies that led to a secure border. And when Biden came into office, he eliminated those 4 policies. We can have a president that will impose a secure border.
Yeah, and you've been managing all of this while also producing growth, economic growth in Texas. So my hat's off to you in that regard. But Governor, this morning you are in Mumbai, India. You are leading an economic development mission in India for the next week. Tell me about your trip. A lot of businesses are looking for an alternative to China in terms of producing goods.
Let's continue.
One of the biggest...
They forget, family. But anyway, let's continue.
problems that we have in this country. And we're watching Democrats sort of run away from immigration as an issue again. They're terrified. They're in the Senate trying to negotiate immigrant and refugee rights away with the hopes of getting Ukraine funding. There has been such a failure on the part of Democrats to articulate what immigrants actually go through. Because, Ronald Reagan made this point, not the Ronald Reagan, the former president, our caller made this point that as an immigration lawyer, that the American public will, in polling, basically support things that are contradictory because of their complete misunderstanding of the ability for people to get here through our immigration process, the functioning of our immigration process, all of those things that are involved in it. The perception is like the immigrants just come here and they just get free everything. And that's the only reason why they come here, as opposed to the reality, which is they're coming from a horrible place. Either there's a lot of violence or it's impossible to make any type of living, and particularly in many places in the world because of U.S. interference. But put that aside for a moment. But they're coming here to basically do what everybody perceives is like the most wholesome American thing, provide for your family, have a job, become an upstanding citizen. But yet, we don't hear enough about how difficult it is. There's no line, you get back in line, you're talking about 10, 12, 15 years, maybe. And yet on the right, they can demagogue this stuff. Here is Jesse Waters on Fox with former Trump advisor Stephen Miller, probably the guy, we don't know this for a fact, who is coming up with lines like, if we let in these immigrants, they're going to poison the blood of the country. Here he is, despicable.
And this feeds into my theory that, because this is he's been doing more cable news hits recently, Stephen Miller. And so, as we're beginning to see Trump's kind of white supremacy getting laundered back into the mainstream, Miller's going to try to make himself more front and center.
Well, also, this is the way he's appealing to Donald Trump here. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Biden's close associates are making money keeping the migrant kids in cages. That's right. One of Biden's main guys on his transition team received $600 million to build a migrant kid compound.
First, let me just say they don't give a shit about our kids. Okay, you guys don't care. That's even making you guys even worse. Let's continue.
You see what they're doing, don't you?
And by the way, family, right now there's only been 19 people viewed so far. 4 people are consistently watching, and you guys can find a lot of other channels, and they're watching looking at dumb shit and booties and titties and music or BHI shit or comedic bullshit or Sinetter shit or taser face shit or give your money to Sakari because Chief so and so wants it, and you guys will like them and give your. I get it. This is not important to you guys. I get it. I totally get it. There's gonna come a time y'all gonna regret it. And again, I'm just a voice over the system. I'm nobody, man. I'm nothing. But what I'm showing you is something, because this is not about me.
Biden just privatized ICE. He's sending your money to his cronies like Andrew Lorenzen Strait to build foster homes for the migrant kids he let in.
Pause it. We should tell you that the privatization of these migrant prisons began a decade ago, maybe more. CACI, I think, is one. I remember CACI. There was a bunch of these things where they would tell their shareholders, we're having a problem because crime is down in the United States. And so we are transitioning into immigrant detention centers. Holders, we're having a problem because crime is down in the United States. And so we are transitioning into immigrant detention centers. This has been a long time move. I don't doubt that there are big contributors for both parties.
Yeah, but you want to watch pinche música de banda, parrandear, hang out on the weekends with your homies. Oh, let me see what the homies are. you deserve to be in the state of mind that you're in. All you so-called Hispanics that are all of our people living this stupid life, this so-called homeboy shit. This I'm gonna go steal him. This shit is done, man. Like, I sit here and I just see how art, man, you know what? There's only a few that are listening, man, and I'm so thankful that it's like that, because if I guess maybe where you see a lot of folks, it's probably not a good thing
that are doing this. But it is rich to hear Fox News complain about A, privatization, B, imprison, and C, protection of immigrants. But go ahead.
Disappear into the hands of family, friends, and foster parents. Biden supporters are making money off open borders. These migrants are just products that you're paying Biden cronies to house in traffic. And if you try to stop it at the source, you're threatening their money. They say you want to kill migrants, but they really mean their cash flow. Let's bring in Stephen Miller. He's the former White House senior advisor and founder of America First Legal. I'm telling you, this Fox drone is making more of an impact on the immigration debate than any politician in D.C. is.
Hey, America, white America. This right here, this is your Jew right here. This is your Jewish person that you guys protect so much and you dearly so love, and that you remind us every freaking 2 years. Excuse me, you know what? Fuck that shit. Every 2 fucking years, you tell us about this whole Holocaust bullshit. No, listen, 6 million, if they really died, don't compare it to our 100 plus that really died, okay? And it was because of you two. You people, you so-called Jewish people, financed the slave trade. Yes, you did, since the get-go. And you've been passing these laws and financing all of these things that are going on. You're going to see.
I'm not sure if that's a compliment for the drone or a condemnation of the quality of our politicians in Washington, D.C. But you're right. The underreaction from Washington has left millions of Americans looking to the footage that you see on Fox to understand what is happening on our southern border. And you use the right word. We are being conquered. This is a complete...
You hear that? Conquered?
Resettlement of America in real time. It took hundreds of years, going back long even before our founding, going back all the way to the earliest days of the colonies in America, to slowly build everything that we have. And now when you have millions...
Oh, you mean the rob, the rape, the pillaging, the murdering, the enslavement, the constant working, the not feeding, the making us dig for mine, for gold, for silver, feeding us to dogs, throwing us over ships. You mean the fake Jewish money that you put since 1492 to enslave our people? Now you want to sit your fucking bald ass and say that we're conquering you? You see this, family? You see what I'm talking about? But white America is protecting bald people like him, who show a star and put that fake ass thing in the back of their head, thinking that's going to change anything. Well, at the same time, talking like this against us, killing people. Yes, killing people in Palestine. Children, women. While you so-called Hispanics are too busy watching stupid ass novelas, hanging out with the homeboys, thinking that's cool, not giving a damn, not taking care of your kids. You're a sad case. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Being conquered, man. Shut up. You guys are, matter of fact, for you people that don't give a shit, you're as bad as these guys, man. Actually, you worse.
People coming in from different cultures.
Pause it for one thing. I will say this, like the resettlement of America.
We have. And now when you have millions of people coming in from different our founding, going back all the way to the earliest days of the colonies in America, to slowly build everything that we have. And now when you have millions of people coming in from different cultures.
See, to slowly build everything that we have, I showed you guys books that these Jewish people have been here since the beginning. They also fought for the Confederate to keep slaves. These Jewish, they're not the real people of the Bible, these Jewish converts who you guys so adore and put at a pedestal. That's how they feel about you.
One thing I will say this, like the resettlement of America is an interesting choice of words here. First off, we have plenty of room. We need more housing in this country without a doubt.
But the drone footage shows a lot of people.
There's a lot of people, but we can easily absorb immigrants if we decide to. But the idea that the resettlement, as if like, wait a second, there's a suggestion that maybe
they're going to take those belief systems with them to America.
Good.
Ways of living in different belief systems. They're going to take those belief systems with them to America.
They're going to take those belief systems with them to America. Family, you're going to see later on that our people are so-called Christians, Catholics. What is your stupid ass talking about? Hey, Israeli, what do you guys feed these children? I mean, they talk a big game in camera. You guys are very good at that in camera. Let's go.
So a generation from now, I am telling you, Jesse, people will not know the country that they are living in. These consequences are permanent. Unless there is massive, large-scale deportations by the millions, it will be.
See, family? Unless there's massive...
Be irrevocable.
Deportation, like Operation Wetbag or the Repatriation Act prior to Operation Wetbag, where they went to LA and all kinds of places, went into their homes, and took women and children out of hospitals too, put them on buses and trains, trucks and shit, getting beat up by other people, being treated like shit. They want to, they're talking like this again. I'm out of words.
Telling you, Jesse, people will not know the country that they are living in. These consequences are permanent. Unless there is massive, large-scale deportations by the millions, it will be irrevocable.
Well, now I believe 2/3 of the country wants deportations.
2/3, and soon it'll be 3/4, and soon it'll be 95%. The more that people find out what's happening, the more they are crying out, pleading, begging for deportation, which of course is what Donald Trump has promised that he would do if he gets back in 2025. But I think today, there's another significance to today. You're talking about with previous guests. December 19th will be remembered in history because two things happened today at the same time. We found out that it was the worst day in American history for illegal immigration, the worst day in history. And we also found out the radical left judges said Donald Trump can't be on the ballot in Colorado. So you see a two-front attack on democracy. They are saying to American citizens, you can't vote, you don't have a voice, you can't be heard. And they're also saying we're bringing in new people that we think will agree with us and support us, and their families will vote for us, and they are going to be the new base of power in this country. This is in real time. What we are witnessing is the engineered political transformation of this country. And Joe Biden is the ultimate insurrectionist since he is the one who has engineered and implemented this entire scheme of resettlement.
Okay. I don't know if it's the algorithm, family, or what the hell, man, but I usually see like at least more people passing by, maybe saying some shit. But I kid you not, man, only 19 people have touched this class. And it's been an hour and 35 minutes. This is from a book called Occupied America, A History of Chicanos, Rodolfo Acuña. 3rd edition. This is actually a prerequisite in college. And no, I didn't go. Let me show you the map. Let me show you the map real quick. That's the map that that you see here. Yeah. I have the book, but I didn't want to take a bunch of pictures. So you can see the territory that belonged, well, even way before. Okay. But anyhow, let's begin. I'm gonna read another section. Let's remind them. They use a lot of different words, invasion and conquering, whatever. The conquest and colonization of Southwest. I'll skip some things because I have some highlights on my book here. Let me kind of read at least the first paragraph. The modern nations of Mexico and the United States of America are both products of European expansions. Spain exploited New World resources and native labor to extend its empire throughout the world. In 1521, Spain, as we read through Zumarraga, there's a lot of ways that they conquered us. That's why when you see Deuteronomy 28 and at verse 48, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. So they fed us, all the food, everything that had to come through them, even the understanding of our Father. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he had destroyed thee forever. So until we were simpletons, like believing that Jesus is white, the Virgin Mary is real, and Ave Maria, pray, Padre Nuestro, si sirve. In 1521, Spain conquered Mexico, and for the next 300 years, it exploited Indians and black labor to accumulate tremendous wealth. Its controlled on Mexico on a division of labor that reflects race, class, and gender. Okay, so now let me skip real quick. Read to where it says right here. The colony dominated 1/3 of British trade. The substitution of North America elite for the let me see, maybe should I go you know what, that's not that important. I mean, it is, obviously, it all matters, but let me go to the next page. I'll go here. I'll start here. It said part 1 of the text deals with U.S. expansions, the conquest, and its effect on the Mexican people. Chapter 1, the legacy of hate, describes the U.S. invasion of Mexico. The U.S. invasion of Mexico. Remember that? The U.S. invasion of Mexico. Remember he said, that we're invading them. No. Describes the U.S. invasion of Mexico in the mid-1830s and 1840s. The thesis is that the United States, a colonial power, long before the Spanish-American War of 1898, which is when Puerto Rico became part of America, in case you guys don't know. So to my so-called Taino brothers, or Puerto Ricans, because not all of you guys are brothers, and I know this for a fact, those that want to throw that whole, you illegal aliens, you're coming here and taking our jobs. Well, the only reason you have papers is because the white man conquered you. That's the only reason. So the nerve of you to say the things that you say. You obviously are not our gente. You're not a Taino. You're a damn foreigner. It says here, forged its present borders through expansionist wars, and except in movies, no such thing as the winning of the West ever happened. No, not at all. North Americans took the land through violence. And the corruption of Mexican officials, which of course they were of European descent, cannot be used as justification for conquest. North American troops committed atrocities. That indeed left a legacy of hate. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended the Mexican-American War. However, a pattern of Mexican-North American relations had been established. Very clear. Very, very clear. Let's go to it. It says here, now, the United States invaded Mexico in the mid-19th century during a period of dramatic change. A rapid technological breakthrough transformed the North American nation from a farm society into industrial competitors. process converted North America into a principal in the world market. The wars with Mexico, symptoms of this transformation, stemmed from the need to accumulate more land, to celebrate heroes, and to prove the nation's power by military superiority. Now, we see here, this chapter examines the link between Texas 1836, because that's what we're talking about. Isn't this what's all happening with that stupid ass Abbott? He wants people to feel sorry for him because he's on the wheelchair. I'm not. You're there for a reason. This chapter examines the link between Texas 1836 and the Mexican 1845 through 1848 war. It analyzes North American aggression, showing how European people, known as Americans, EUROMERICANs, acquired what is today the Southwest. The word expansion and invasion are used interchangeably. Isn't that what that Kazar said? The North American invasion of Mexico are equated with foreign of European empires in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. The urge to expand in the case of the United States was not based on the need for land. The Louisiana Purchase, Central Illinois, Southern Georgia, and West Virginia lay vacant. You see this? Rather, Louisiana, remember the map I showed you? So, these foreigners, these heathens, these illegal aliens, who now are calling you aliens, because you're going to see they even do that. It's like this, family. It's like white people moving to Mexico right now and calling those Mexicans illegal aliens. Oh, you're invading my land. That's exactly what they did. You're going to see. Hold on, let me read it real quick. Wesley Curry II. The Lord shall smite thee with blotch of Egypt, the emeralds and the itch and the scab. The blotch is the omni mark, and the emerald is the 32. The itch and the scab is the reeling of your soul. Oh, man. You're on the wrong channel. Anyways, so as you can see, he's saying that this was like totally vacant. So was Oklahoma, so was Kansas. So were these other territories. Rather, the motive was profit. Why do you say that? Why do you think? Because that went further into the book, and I'm not going to go there. Because all of this territory here was cattle. And all of this territory here in Texas had oil. And you know how we know that they had oil? Because our native brothers were showing them how to use oil to continuously burn. So they wanted profit. Rather, the motive was profit. And that wars proved profitable, with the Euro-American nation seizing over a half of Mexico. Now, North Americans fought Texas war, that is, US dollars financed it. You see this? So the North Americans that they're mentioning here are not so-called US citizens yet, but they're considered Americans? These illegal aliens from Europe? It says, U.S. arms, it said, so the U.S. dollar financed it, U.S. arms were used in Mexican soil, and Euro-Americans almost exclusively profited from it. President Jackson approved of the war and ignored North American neutrality laws. The so-called Republic held Texas in trusteeship until 1844, when the United States annexed it. This act amounted to a declaration of war on Mexico. When Mexico responded by breaking diplomatic relations, the North Americans, the Texas ones, the Anglos, the illegal alien Anglos, to this very day, used this excuse to manufacture war. Many North Americans questioned the morality of the war, but supported their government because it was their country. Right or wrong? See, many North Americans questioned the morality of the war, but supported their government because it was their country. Right or wrong? See, these were also Jewish people. The Ashkenazis, yeah. This is also them. You know, like Sephardic Jews? Yeah, this is those Sephardic Jews too. Don't go claiming people that are not a gente, man. This chapter does not focus on the war battles or heroes, but on how North American rationalized these invasions. Aren't they doing the same? And have developed historical amnesia. And have developed historical amnesia about its causes and results. War is neither romantic nor just, and the United States did not act benevolently towards Mexico. North Americans, meaning the illegal aliens that are Europeans that are allowed in Texas at this time, committed atrocities. And when they could, Mexicans responded. Eventually, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended with Mexican-American War, and Northern Mexico became part of the illegally stolen empire. The treaty, however, did not stop the bitterness or the violence between the two people. In fact, it gave birth to a legacy of hate. Legacy of hate. We're going to read about 2 more pages and then we'll move on. Anglo justification for the conquest have ignored or distorted events that led up to the initial clash of 1836. To Anglo illegals, the Texas War was caused by a tyrannical or, at best, an incompetent Mexican government that was antithetical to the ideals of democracy and justice. The root of the conflict actually extended back as early as 1767. What? When Benjamin Franklin marked Mexico and Cuba for future expansion. Since 1767. Anglo-Americans filibusters, meaning is an adventurer or who engages in insurrectionist or revolutionist activities in foreign countries, what they do today, planned expeditions into Texas in 1790. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 stimulated U.S. ambition in the Southwest, and 6 years later, Thomas Jefferson predicted that the Spanish borderland are ours. For the first moment, war is forced upon us. It's like I'm looking for trouble to take what is yours from you. And I'm going to make that an excuse that it was self-defense. The war with Great Britain in 1812 intensified Anglo-American design on the Spanish territory. Florida set the pattern of expansionist activities in Texas. Florida was still part of Spain up until that point. Wobbles, you have no idea what your history is like. In 1818, several posts in East Florida were seized and unauthorized, but never officially documented. U.S. military never officially documented U.S. military expedition. Negotiations were in process with Spain, finally terminated in the Adam Onis or Transcontinental Treaty in 1819, in which Spain ceded Florida to the United States, and the United States in turn renounced its claim to Texas. Texas itself was part of Coahuila. Many North Americans still claim that Texas belonged to the United States, meaning the illegal Anglos. Repeating Jefferson's claim that Texas boundaries extended to the Rio Grande and that it was part of the Louisiana Purchase. They condemned the Adams-Onis Treaty. None of these lands were yours. You broke a treaty with Britain that you wouldn't even expand past the 13 colonies. There's absolutely no faith in believing me. Just like the scripture said, as the iron rusted, so should he. Trust not your enemy. Anglo-American continued pretension to Texas and made for stay in Texas to similar to those he had made in Florida. See it happening. In 1918, James Long led an abortive invasion to establish the Republic of Texas. Invasion again. Long, like many illegal Anglos, believed that Texas belonged to the United States and the Congress had no right or power to sell, exchange, or relinquish an American possession. So why do you have a problem when our ante says, I don't care what Hidalgo did. This is my land. And I'm going to move back here because I don't give a shit what you white people think. But that doesn't apply, right? In spite of the hostility, the Mexican government opened Texas, provided that settlers, white people, agreed to certain conditions. Moses Austin. Remember to see this name? Sephardic. Stop claiming shit that is not true. Was given permission to settle in Texas. But he died shortly afterwards, and his son continued his venture. In December 1821, Stephen Austin founded Stephen Austin. You see this family? You see how these names repeat themselves? And they're laughing at your face. And you go and watch these guys like, the wrestler? Yeah, you're worshiping your master again. Founded the settlement of San Felipe in Austin. Large number of Anglo illegals entered Texas in 1820 as refugees from depression in 1819. As refugees from the depression of 1819. So you needed our help. In the 1930s, entrepreneurs sought to profit from the availability of cheap land. That's why you got a lot of widows moving to Mexico. But they don't know what's coming. In case you don't know, gringos, it ain't going to work out this time. They're about to pass a law that's going to force you to legalize yourself, or you're going to get arrested. Yes, it's going to come. Trust me. By 1830, there were about 2,000 settlers, along with some 2,000 slaves. Again, slavery was a white people thing. And black folks too, but right now, just focusing on them. Settlers, again, meaning illegal Anglos, the Euro wannabe Americans, agreed to obey the conditions set by the Mexican government. That all immigrants be Catholics and that they take an oath to an alliance to Mexico. Isn't that what you crackheads ask us to do? However, Anglo wannabe Americans became resentful when Mexico tried to enforce the agreement. Mexico, in turn, became increasingly alarmed at the flood of immigrants from the U.S. Many settlers considered the native Mexicans to be intruders.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
You see, my family, settlers, illegal white people who were stealing our land, were now calling you native people in Texas intruders. In a dispute with a Mexican and Indian, as well as with Anglo illegals, settlers, that's for sure. Hayden Edwards arbitrarily attempted to evict settlers, illegal white people, from the land before the conflicting claims could be sorted out by the Mexican authorities. As a result, Mexican authorities nullified his settlement contract and ordered him to leave the territory. Edwards and his followers seized the town of Nacogdoches on December 21st, 1826, proclaimed the Republic of Fredonia. Mexican officials, supported by some Anglo illegals, such as Stephen Austin, suffocated the Edward Revolt. However, many U.S. papers played up the rebellion as 200 men against a nation, and described Edwards and his followers as apostles of democracy crushed by alien invasion? So, you see how white people have been calling you raza, illegal aliens, even though they were the illegal aliens. Clearly, you're not a resident of Texas, pendejo, but you're calling my people invaders, intruders, illegal aliens. In 1824, President John Quincy Adams began putting pressure on Mexico in hopes of persuading her to rectify the frontier. Any of the Texan rivers west of Sabine, the Brazos, the Colorado Nueces, was preferably to the Sabines, to the Rio Grande, was the one desired. In 1826, Adams offered to buy Mexico for the sum of $1 million. When Mexican authorities refused to offer the United States launched an aggressive foreign policy. attempting to coerce Mexico into selling Texas. One more paragraph. Mexican authorities, Mexico could not consolidate its control over Texas. The number of Anglo illegal settlers, illegal invaders, you that have been poisoning our blood through your homosexuality, your pedophilia, your drug addiction, your constant ambition to kill the goodness of animals. You go hunting for no reason. You hunt animals for the fun of it. You have tainted our blood. You, who is the true invader, original thief. This is you telling us that we're illegals in a land where you're the illegal. And I'm not saying, I'm telling you, family, like we just read it. We're an alien invasion while in our own land. Literally. Not right now. They're in our land, and we're calling us alien and crushed by an alien civilization. I think I understand why you see us as aliens, because you understood that we are of our Father. We're so alien to your ways. It was never going to be a conversion, which is why they want to get rid of it. It says here, Anglo illegals had already created a privileged caste. Ooh, let's go back. Mexico could not consolidate its power over Texas, and the number of Anglo illegal settlers and the vastness of the territory made it impossible to task. Anglo illegals had already created a privileged caste, which depended in a great part on the economic advantage given to them by their slaves. Meaning you guys don't like to work. You like to have other people work. That's why you guys are dying of fentanyl, because for the first time, you guys have to work and you can't handle it. When Mexico abolished slavery in September 15, 1829. Didn't that African girl say that it was the white man that abolished slavery in 1833? When Mexico abolishes slavery in September 1839, Euro wannabe Americans circumvented the law by freeing their slaves and then signing them to a lifelong contract as indentured servants. Wow. Now, black people are once again supporting white people. Anglos resented the Mexican order and considered it an infringement on their personal liberties. Really? But I thought that you guys are all about, the order of the rule of law. Isn't that what white people talk about? The rule of law, the rule of law, the rule of law. You guys are full of shit. Anglos resented the Mexican order, considered it an infringement on their personal liberties. In 1830, Mexico prohibited further Anglo-American immigration. That was enough. Meanwhile, Andrew Jackson increased tension by attempting to purchase Texas for as much as $5 million. Mexican authorities resented Anglo illegals' refusal to submit to Mexican law. Mexico moved reinforcement into Coahuila and readied them in case of trouble. Anglos, illegals, viewed this move as an act of hostility. Anglo colonists, settlers, refused to pay customs and actively supported smuggling activities. Don't they call us smugglers now? Don't they call us, you guys are exactly, listen family, from now on you have to understand that what these people call you is exactly who they are. When they call you a beaner, it's because they're a beaner. When they call you a wetbag, it's because they're a wetbag. When you call you an illegal, it's because they're an illegal. When they call you dirty or filthy or illiterate or dumb, it's because they're filthy, they're illiterate, they're dumb. That is what they are. Everything that they speak is exactly how they feel about themselves. One of his leaders, Sam Houston, who was a known protege of Andrew Jackson, now president of the United States, Houston's motivation was to bring Texas into the United States. You see that? We're going to continue to read this. It is important that you understand. Because then now, when you see history, you hear people talk a certain way, and they're like, wait, what do they mean by that? Well, this is why. Now that the whole Palestine thing's going on, they're talking about settlers, right? Settlers. Okay. This is why I kept saying it's such a similarity of what's going on over there compared to what happened here. There, on a very micro level, meaning speedily, here on a micro level, meaning in a vast level, but it's slower. So let's listen in. We're going to hear about a few minutes, about maybe 3-4. We're almost done.
I mean, you talk about, I've seen you reference, many times, revealed preference in terms of, particularly in terms of the United States. Because we have now, I don't know, we're on sternly lettered word, sternly worded letter number 5 from Anthony Blinken about civilian casualties. How much of what do you think is happening? And I should also say, as we're talking, I recall now, I think it was a 2020 piece that you wrote about Joe Biden's relationship, troubling relationship in terms of Israel.
Not face a lot of discrimination. We were never the quintessential other in America. And in today, the fact that most Jews live in liberal democracies, whether it's Australia or Canada or Britain or France, and are living relatively safe and equal lives, in a certain kind of way is a threat to the whole idea of Zionism, right? Which is that the safest place for Jews is Israel. But Israel's not necessarily actually the safest place for Jews. And so in a way, again, I don't want to suggest that even Benjamin Netanyahu is celebrating anti-Semitism, but there is a precondition in that mentality to look for validation towards the idea that Jews are not safe anywhere other than Israel. And tragically, it is also the case that Israel's actions vis-a-vis the Palestinians tend to lead to greater degrees of anti-Semitism. Not to say that anyone is fundamentally to blame other than the anti-Semite itself, but that it does produce this response.
I mean, you talk about, I've seen you reference, many times, revealed preference in terms of, particularly in terms of the United States. Because we have now, I don't know, we're on sternly lettered word, sternly worded letter number 5 from Anthony Blinken about civilian casualties. How much of what do you think is happening? And I should also say, as we're talking, I recall now, I think it was a 2020 piece that you wrote about Joe Biden's relationship, troubling relationship in terms of Israel. How much of what we are seeing is just pure ideology from the U.S., from the Biden administration, maybe even Biden himself? And how much of it is somewhat strategic? Because it seems like he has no awareness of what is going on the ground.
Israel in the United States is not really a foreign policy issue. It's in large measure an identity issue. And that is because Israel's founding myths are very similar to America's founding myths.
Pay attention to what he's saying, all right? Founding myths is very identical. The founding myth of these Jewish people in Palestine is identical to the founding myth of the Anglo illegals here in America. These people here, whether you side with us or not, the facts are the facts. You guys are the real illegals of this land. So let me remind you and rename you and tell you that it's you who is poisoning our blood, not us.
One of the things that historians of the 19th century note is that the closer that American settlers were to the Indian frontier, the more likely they were to give their towns Old Testament names. Right. So that's why when my kids go to Jewish day school, so they have a familiarity with the Hebrew Bible. So when we were driving around, the kids, they were constantly noticing the names of small towns in America that come from Tanakh, from the Hebrew Bible. America and Israel both founded as promised.
Listen to this. America and Israel were both founded as, listen, here we go. Let me go back.
Land.
And then I'll be quiet. Am I ready to run through like 5? Let's go. Come on, man.
They have a familiarity with the Hebrew Bible. So when we were driving around, the kids, they were constantly noticing the names of small towns in America that come from Tanakh, from the Hebrew Bible. America and Israel were both founded as promised lands on a hostile frontier. right? So if you want to know how an American feels about Israel, just ask them how they feel about America's founding myths. The Americans who are most invested in those founding myths are the most pro-Israel. In fact, they see Israel in many ways, the Republicans, as a better version of America because it's more religious. It has clearer hierarchies. It has a stronger border policy. If you want to ask an American what they think of the 1619 project, and you'll know what they think about Israel.
Clear hierarchy means apartheid.
Palestine, right? And so I think fundamentally, the issue for Joe Biden, I think, is that much less than someone like Barack Obama or others in the Democratic Party, he is not really comfortable challenging these myths about America. And therefore, he doesn't really, I don't think he has a real understanding or real empathy of the Palestinian struggle. The Palestinian struggle is very threatening for Americans, in large measure, I think in part because if Americans were to become more conscious about it and they would think about a challenge to settler colonialism in Israel-Palestine, they might think about the fact that actually that challenge is very uncomfortable for us. Right. I think that's at the root of a lot of this.
It has always been my contention that the inverse is also true. That in founding Israel and in dealing with the question of settler colonialism and what will we do with the Palestinians, that they looked to America and said, well, Americans got away with it.
You don't have a leg to stand on.
And that it was just a question of like, oh, we were just 100 years too late in terms of where society has progressed in terms of what we think about these things.
100%. So white South Africans said exactly the same thing, right? We haven't been as successful as you. And so in some ways, one way you could think about what's happening now is the question is it possible to do in the 21st century what it was possible to do hundreds of years ago, which is essentially
See what I mean, family? You see what I'm saying? I told you.
Who are you?
I don't know how much the relationships between us and them is, but I find this rather ironic that, we talk about the migration that we took, and we understand that we were scattered abroad. We understand that we were separated, and that the Most High is bringing us back. Revelation 2:11 and 10, and they that dwelt upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. Listen to this again, okay? Again, I don't know the relationship, how close or distant we are from them, but I find it very interesting. I've showed you guys many videos of similarities and customs and foods and in our migration. For one, let's go. Let's listen to this again.
And so in some ways, one way you could think about what's happening now is the question is it possible to do in the 21st century what it was possible to do hundreds of years ago, which is essentially a referendum on human moral progress, right?
Right.
Do we have this arc of history that Martin Luther King and Barack Obama like to talk about, or is that just an illusion? And I think that's part of what's at stake in this moment.
Well, let's talk about, because I think Joe Biden is going to be the last Democratic president to have this type of position. I just don't think that I think the writing has been on the wall. When Tim Kaine didn't, refuse to go to see Netanyahu speak, however many years ago that was, I was like, we're heading into a different era in terms of American politics. Yeah. With that said, let's turn to this question that you wrote about in Jewish Currents. It was more specifically about the universities, but that's where what's on the stage today. You've written that like this question of equating anti-Zionism or critique of Israel with anti-Semitism is not necessarily a conspiracy, I think you wrote, but a named unnumbered amount of Jewish students. And we don't have a sense of where the bulk of Jewish students are on this and whether this is really an issue but it is implicit almost in just the construction of this piece that being critical of Israel is being anti-Jewish, despite the fact that
nope, that's not. Nope. Now, man, let me show you this real quick, family. Check this out, all right? This is very painful, because at first I was watching this article from this. At first I was like, "Where's he going with this?" But check this out. I would highly recommend for you guys to watch this. We're not gonna watch it all. I can tell you that this was a fair review on what's going on down there. Okay, it's fair. I'm not gonna knock it, and I want to show you because there are some things here that are very painful, and it's reality. Let's go.
Middle of the Sonoran Desert, hidden behind Border Patrol vehicles and makeshift tents, were hundreds upon hundreds of migrants, all of whom hopped the U.S.-Mexico border in the past couple hours. It was a shocking sight to see. People from all around the world, herded like cattle on the cold desert floor, sitting in silence, awaiting an uncertain future. Despite these conditions, spirits are generally high, because most of these people have traveled days, weeks, and even months just to get here. About 3/4 of them are single males, but there are also many children.
America is at a breaking point with record levels of illegal immigration.
These people's lives are at the center of the national conversation, but they could care less. They've finally made it to the land of opportunity, a nation allegedly founded upon the principles of liberty and radical individuality, where anyone from any walk of life can make something out of themselves.
I guess they call them detainees. They've been walking on this road. This road runs for 12 miles, 12 or 13 miles. What it does is it parallels our border fence. On the other side of it, on the Mexican side of it, is Mexican Highway 2. So the cartels have a really easy job. They just bring the people off of Highway 2 and then through the wall. The wall has many of those cuts that I told you about earlier, where they run the people through. And so the immigrants just walk down this road.
Right, so as you guys can probably see right here, that's a group of 5 migrants who just hopped the border, and they're walking directly into Border Patrol custody to join the seated group of migrants that we just encountered. So typically when you think of the border, at least me personally, I thought it was like people hop and then try to evade Border Patrol and make their way to a large US city to start a new life. But in this case, you can see they are putting themselves directly in the custody of Border Patrol to begin the asylum seeking process. Like they're not trying to evade or anything. A Border Patrol agent agreed to speak with us but didn't want to go on camera. Normally, agents are not allowed to be interviewed, and all press requests are typically deferred to a public information officer who rarely ever responds. But in this instance, the agent seemed exhausted and eager to tell me what was going on.
No, there's very few of them evading.
How come?
Well, because they allowed them in. They don't evade because they'll let them come in. They load them in the vans, they take them up to Phoenix, give them a $3,000 gift card and a cell phone, and send them wherever they want to go. You get a court date. You got 2 years to show up in court. That's the reason they give them a phone, because they're saying if they don't give me a phone, I don't know when I'm supposed to go to court. So they give them a phone.
At first, I was confused what the Border Patrol agent meant when he kept referring to they. To the naked eye, it appears that Border Patrol is the one handling and processing the migrants, but they're only the first step in a chain of bureaucratic authority that goes up to the Department of Homeland Security, then finally up to the Department of Justice's Executive Office for Immigration Review, which is more or less controlled by the Biden administration, who've taken a much more open arms approach to immigration after pulling back Title 42 just about a year ago. But despite pushing for more lax border laws in comparison with President Trump,
the wall just got 10 feet taller, believe me.
Biden hasn't done anything to make the process of applying for citizenship any faster. In fact, it still takes between 18 to 24 months to get a response on a citizenship application. And it's actually possible to be denied citizenship if you fail to memorize and regurgitate fun facts about the history of America.
How many amendments does the Constitution have?
Hey, you fellow Americans, without Googling, how many? I bet 95% of you don't know.
It has 27 amendments.
Good. Which group of people was taken to America and sold as slaves?
Africans.
Good. Excellent.
So it makes sense why a lot of migrants, many of whom are facing desperate circumstances, avoid the citizenship application process.
So they got to learn English, clearly, then they got to learn the history, clearly, and they got to wait. Clearly not possible.
Altogether. I wonder if my great-great-grandparents, who were economic refugees that fled Ireland in the wake of the potato famine, experienced such an arduous process when they arrived to America illegally. Unlike these migrants who arrived at the southern border, my family arrived on boats to Ellis Island 115 years ago. Much like Roberto and Alberto, who we interviewed in our previous episode, Arizona Border Crisis, they found themselves in a strange new land with pennies to their name. They had no particular plan, but what they did have was the willpower and determination to work as hard as they could with the hopes of one day providing a brighter future for their family. And it worked. And that's all thanks to Grandpa Jerry, who died 30 years before I was born. I wonder if he was asked who Paul Revere was, or what the Boston Tea Party was all about. Was there a concern back then that these migrants weren't American enough to join our society? Or is that way of thinking a new phenomenon, driven by the paranoia of a white minority?
An analysis of census data from the Brookings Institute projects the number of white Americans will fall below 50% for
You have poisoned our blood. This is you right here. This is what you brought. We didn't bring this. No, we create this. You brought this. This is you.
for the first time ever in about 20 years, 2045.
Or perhaps it's less about race and more about the burden of inheriting global poverty when we have so many problems of our own. I guess times have changed a lot too. It's not like there was fentanyl or cartels back then. And most immigrants plan to move to America forever, not stack up money here and go back home. I don't have the answer.
Check this out.
But I do have a lot of questions. One question in particular. How can we, as Americans, expect to propagandize the entire world with our dream through Hollywood, the music industry, and the testimonies of self-made American billionaires, while simultaneously exploiting the labor, crops, and raw earth materials of developing nations, freezing the economies of our political opponents through trade sanctions, and creating rival drug cartels with our insatiable appetite for cocaine, fentanyl, meth, and heroin, and not expect a global economic refugee crisis at the southern border? But that being
Exactly, Nathaniel. And because of those things that these people have forced our gente upon, now we have situations like this.
every quarter mile or so, you'll see these giant blue flags. I'm not sure who puts them there, but they're basically what I'm assuming to be emergency medical services. They have like a giant thing of water right here. So if you want to get some water, you can obviously get some water and shit. They have cups here. Upon further research, these tanks of water and flags are left behind by Humane Borders, aka Fronteras Compasivas, an Arizona-based nonprofit that sets up hundreds of water stations along the border to provide hydration to migrants, which in the summertime, as temperatures can rise to above 120 degrees in the desert, can be a matter of life or death.
People dying out in the desert. They were dying because they didn't have any water. So the next day I read another article about this, 2 people dying because they didn't have any water. So the third day, there was a mother and a daughter that died out here in the desert because...
You hear this? You hear this? You hear this? Euro illegals, Anglo illegals, you settlers, you poisonous thieves. You see this here? Since the beginning of time, you have called us illegals, even while this was our land legally, calling us illegals, saying we're invaders. And now our people spiritually are coming back to their lands that you took from, and now they're dying. And then you wonder why your children are dying of fentanyl or drugs or overdose or depression, or they can't work, or they can't survive anymore, or they're stressed out, or there's massive body counts, promiscuousness, abortions, homosexuality, divorces. You mean that? You wonder why? Because this is what happens.
Because they didn't have water. So I got pissed off. I said, I have to do something 7 days a week. We're out here in the field.
You see, 1 day, muerto. 2 day, muerto. 3 day, muerto. He says, man, I just got pissed off, man. I just got pissed off. You know why he got pissed off? In case you don't know this, okay? And these people aren't going to tell you because they don't give a shit. Okay? They just shut up and vote or whatever. It doesn't matter to them. This is the Arizona, the page that he's talking about. I want you to consider looking at this thing here. Okay? And stop closing your eyes because our people are dying. Several. Let's go to the year. This is just 2023. Male to you see the number, the name, the sex, the age, reporting date, surface, location, corridor, what they found, determined case of death, condition code, body condition, post-mortem, state, county, latitude, like where exactly they found the person. Fully fleshed. Look at this. Complete skeleton, complete skeletonization with bone degradation. They don't know his age. Undetermined. 48-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 39-year-old. Cannot determine. 54, 49, 52, 43, 14. Fully fleshed. Why? Hypothermia. because it was too cold for the little boy. 23 years old sister, 46, 27, 46, 35, 39, 24, 31. Do you want me to keep going? This is just 1 year. I know you guys don't give a shit. I know you don't. Maybe this is just a show and a pastime for you. Hit the link, God. Peace out. 21, 27, 34, 39, 26, 45, 24. We don't even know how old were the other people. Look at this, man. Look at this. Last year. And it keeps going and going and going. 18, 19. Some of them are being found in similar areas. Some of them are dying here, often, dated similarly. And several of them are dying because of this right here. Blunt force trauma. That was last year. More this year. Blunt force trauma. 29, 18, 20, 30. Male, female. 2 females. Blunt force trauma. 2021. Blunt force trauma. Nogales, San Miguel. Well, let's just say Annie. Look at that family. I don't give a shit, man.
Thank you, Senator Grassley. Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Marcos, can I just start with you? You testified a moment ago to Senator Butler that every child gets a Know Your Rights presentation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that before or after you release them to labor traffickers?
Senator, every child that comes into our care gets a Know Your Rights presentation as well as...
Have you read these New York Times reports, these stories, the series of stories the New York Times has done on the children who are in your care? Have you read them?
Yes, I have.
Have you read that children are scrubbing dishes, they are operating heavy machinery, they are delivering meals, they are harvesting coffee, they are working construction, they are working as housekeepers, they are working overnight shifts at plants where they are not paid, they are not going to school, they are not cared for, they are not giving meals, almost all of it illegally. Are you aware of that? That's a yes or no.
Yes.
Do the Know Your Rights? That's a yes or no.
Yes.
That's a yes or no.
Yes.
Do the Know Your Rights presentation help them in those situations?
Senator, ORR...
That's a yes or no, I think. Do you really think that you're helping these children by releasing them to labor traffickers and, yes, sex traffickers? 85,000 children whom you have no contact with, and your answer is, we gave them a presentation before we turned them over to these people who are exploiting them on a scale not...
Which, by the way, it was Stephen Miller and Donald punk-ass Trump.
Not seen in this country for 100 years, a century. A century. It's a disgrace in the United
85,000 children compared to 20-something thousand in Palestine. But you guys just stayed quiet. You dumb Mexicans, you celebrated Christmas and Thanksgiving, and you got drunk with Coronas, and you still call yourselves Chicanos, American citizens. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Pendejos, güey.
United States of America. Let me ask you this. You did an audit, I noticed, where you gave yourself a clean bill of health. So just tell me this. Do you require sponsors to document their relationship with the child?
Senator, we have a thorough vetting process.
Do you require sponsors to document their relationship with the child?
Yes, we go through
No, you do not. You do not. Have you read the Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations reports on your office? There was one in 2016. There was one in 2018. There was one in 2020. There was one in 2022. Spanning administrations, What they found is you do not require sponsors to document their relationship with a child. You release them anyway. What about background checks? Do you require background checks on all adults in the household?
In cases where the child is being released to their parents, we do not require background checks. But Senator, I would
Do you
really
require
like
background checks on all adults in the household in any case?
Yes, in some cases we do.
What percentage of cases do you do background checks on the adults in the household?
I don't have that number.
Do you do home visits in all cases? You can actually see where these children are being released, whose care you're putting them in?
We do not do home visits in all cases. Senator, I'd really like the opportunity to talk about what we are doing.
I know what you're doing, and it's incredibly and totally inadequate. And we can read about it in the New York Times. Since you say you've read it, let's talk a little bit about that New York Times report if we could. Here's a quote from the April 17th installment. Again and again, veteran government staffers and outside contractors told HHS, including reports that reached the secretary, that children appeared to be at risk. Did you warn the secretary that children were at risk?
Senator, I'm in regular contact with the secretary.
Did you warn him that children
Javier Becerra is considered a Jewish representative.
Were at risk?
Safety and well-being of children is our top priority.
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
I'm not going to get into the conversations I've had.
You're here and you're under oath, and this is an oversight hearing, and we need to know what you're doing because you're manifestly not doing your job. Did you warn him that children were at risk? Do you believe that children are at risk? Let's start with that.
Yes.
Okay. Did you warn the secretary?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics of my conversation, but I would like the opportunity.
Why wouldn't you warn the secretary that children were at
I would
risk?
like the opportunity to talk about what we.
Let's look at what the secretary said to you. The other one, James. Yeah, that one. At least 5 HHS staff members said they were pushed out after raising concerns about child safety. Mr. Becerra, the secretary, told the ORR director, that's you, right, that if she could not increase the number of discharges, he would find someone who could.
His last name is Becerra, pendejos. Not every kinfolk is not every skinfolk is a kinfolk. They got that right. But see, we understand that. Some people don't.
Then he went on to say that if Henry Ford had run his plants like this, he would never have become famous and rich. This is not the way you do an assembly line.
You see this, family? This channel was never about color nor phenotype. It was always about the real, true people of the book. But you just don't see it. Stay blind.
Get the kids out, run them through, get them out to those sponsors, those traffickers. Why didn't you resign when he said this? Do you think that this is morally acceptable?
Senator, I joined ORR in September of 2022. I believe that was reported prior to my arrival, but I cannot speak.
This is from an article this year.
I can't speak to what the secretary.
Do you think that this is acceptable to run ORR like an assembly line and to release these children to traffickers?
I can assure you we do not run ORR like an assembly line. The safety and well-being of children is our top concern. And by
Plainly
statute,
not. Plainly, it is not your top concern because you have managed to lose 85,000 of them. And the Times knows where they are, 2/3 of them, and they're with labor traffickers. It's unbelievable. Let me just ask you this. How many kids right now, the 430,000 approximately, unaccompanied?
Do you guys hear that? 430,000. But you still think you're Gentiles? You still think you're just a bunch of dumb Indians who the white man came and civilized? Think again.
How many children have crossed the border into this administration? It's an astounding number. How many are you in regular contact with right now?
Senator, we have a number of different providers across the country who
But what's the
provide
number? What's the
different-
number? How many of you are you in? You said child welfare is your top concern. What's the number?
I don't have the specific number.
How can you not know? Why would you come to this hearing and not know?
Respectfully, if you would like us to provide comprehensive case management to children after they're released from our care, so we can report.
Respectfully, I would like you to do your job and not release children to human traffickers. Respectfully, that's what I would like. I'd like you not facilitate the largest child trafficking ring in American history. And thank you to all of the witnesses. Thank you for being here. I want to visit with you in just a second, but I just want to reiterate something that I heard the chairman say that I agree with, which is that there really ought to be government witnesses sitting there. And I tell you what I'm tired of. I've had Secretary Mayorkas sit in front of me in a different committee, the Homeland Security Committee, where I asked him at length about the outrage of 250,000 migrant children, unaccompanied, crossing the border in the last 2 years, and tens of thousands of them being sold into slavery. Let's not mince words. They've been sold into slavery. When kids are being put into factories, forced to work overnight, forced to work in terrible conditions, they're not getting paid, they're not going to school, sometimes they're not getting fed. That's slavery. And what I heard from Secretary Mayorkas, don't take my word for it, you go look at the record, read the transcript. What he told me was, oh, it's not my problem. We don't have anything to do with it. Not my problem. Now we have a new report from HHS where they say it's not their problem. Amazing how this works. Nobody's responsible. These kids are literally being sold as slaves in the United States of America in the year 2023, and nobody's responsible. They don't want to come and testify to this committee. You bet they don't. They don't want to be put under oath. They don't want to answer any questions. They don't want cameras here. They don't want to take any responsibility. Well, I tell you, it's somebody's fault. It's not the kids' fault. Thank God for the New York Times, phrase I never thought would come out of my mouth. But really, I mean, thank the Lord that the New York Times did these series of reports, because otherwise we'd still be fed the lies from this administration that everything is fine and dandy. We know just where the kids are. It's all great. They're all fine. No, it's not. Is it fine that people like Carolina Yuck, who's 15 years old, I apologize to her if I mispronounced her name, she's one of the folks, one of the young women that the New York Times caught up with. What is she doing? Midnight in Grand Rapids, Michigan, a conveyor belt carrying bags of Cheerios past a cluster of young workers. Carolina, every 10 seconds, has to stuff a sealed plastic bag of cereal into a passing yellow carton. It's dangerous work. Fast-moving pulleys and gears that had torn off fingers and ripped open a woman's scalp. The factory was full of underage workers like Carolina who'd crossed the southern border by themselves, vulnerable, now spending late nights bent over hazardous machinery in violation of child labor laws. Carolina says, sometimes I get tired and feel sick. Her stomach often hurt. She was unsure if that was because of the lack of sleep, the stress from the incessant roar of the machines, or the worries she had for herself and her family in Guatemala. This is totally, utterly, completely unacceptable. And I am sick unto death of this administration coming before
From Guatemala, family. From Guatemala. Revelation 13 and verse 11. It reads, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and had two horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon. Two horns, two democracies, two so-called philosophies, science and religion. You know, the yin and the yang, the black and the good and the bad, the good and evil, Jesus and Satan. Two beasts, two horns. Hey, you can vote Republican or you can vote Democratic. It's as a lamb. Lambs don't have horns, family. Okay? So it's, again, a false entity. And he exercised all the power of the first beast, like Rome, because this is an extension of Rome. This is exactly Rome right here. You're back at it again. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwelt therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. That's why Rome fell, stayed quiet, then came back again. And he had great wonders, and so that he make the fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, as we see World War II, the atomic bomb, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, meaning the power of science as well, which he had power to do so in the sight of the beast. And we're going to find out what that is, that beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, they that should make an image to the beast, which had wound by a sword and did live. Christianity once more. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. And the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. We know what happened in 1492. To this day, what do they say? You're not Christian. That's their excuse. But yet, most of the people that come here are so-called Christians. And he caused all, both small and great, you and corporations, rich and poor, me and them, us and them, free and bond, to receive a mark on the right hand and in his forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Watch this. Here is the wisdom. Let him that understandeth count the number of the beast, For it is the number of a man, and his number is 606 scores and 6. Now, I'm going to touch on it in a little bit. I want to show you this real quick. Just real quick videos. Give me a second. Remember, I told you that the time has come for the destruction of these idols to fall, okay? And this is the imagery that they gave us. This is what they told us. Worship Virgin Mary. Remember Sumarraga? Worship White Jesus. First, it was the Virgin Mary. It wasn't even White Jesus family. It was the Virgin Mary. They used her first on us. They said Ave Maria, Padre Nuestro, Diez Mandamientos, el Rosario. The Virgin Mary, the Virgin Mary, the Virgin Mary. And then Jesus came. Why do you think our gente worships the Virgin Mary more or with such profoundness? They even made a date for her, December 12th, which used to be December 9th. I'm sorry, September 9th. It used to be. Oh, I did a class on that as to why, but that's not my point. But again, the beginning of the end is here. My brothers and sisters, I kept saying that demon of a statue. Well, guess what? We are seeing this now in these churches in Mexico beginning. This is the way we rid ourselves of these heathens. Repent. Come back to the laws of our Father, to your heritage, to the traditions that I read initially when I started the class, to the way of what it used to be like.
It's going viral after completely destroying a Virgen de Guadalupe statue and also a Santa Muerte one during his church service. And it was all live streamed. I had the video to show it to you. The pastor's name is Kevin Nguyen, and he's a pastor in Tamaulipas, Mexico at Monte de Sion Church. But his sermon was about the second commandment in the Bible, you shall not make idols. That's whenever he grabbed this giant hammer and started doing this to the Virgen de Guadalupe statue. And the cheers soon erupted, but just when everybody thought he was done, he grabbed the hammer again, and got the Santa Muerte statue and started doing this to it.
A destruir.
He was saying that the Santa Muerte is not biblical at all. He was saying to seek Jesus Christ instead. And he also added on by saying that most Catholics have a relationship with the Virgen de Guadalupe, but they don't actually have a relationship with Jesus. He said, again, to seek Jesus. And some said that this was blasphemous, but other people were saying that it's his statues, it's his money, and he bought them, so he could do whatever he wants to do.
The beast. The beast. And you know what, family? I'm going to tell you this right now. This is the reason why they want to remind you and tell you that you're illegal, that you're stupid, that you're dumb, that you mean nothing, and that they came to civilize you. Because quite frankly, we are one of the smartest people on this planet. But you've been told otherwise. That's why when the Most High feeds you, nothing can stop you.
Mi no Paloma Noyola. Es la nueva Steve Jobs de México. Está armando una empresa. Hace unos años en la portada de Wired Magazine puso a una niña mexicana y el título decía The Next Steve Jobs. ¿Tú sabes quién es esa niña mexicana? Una niña que se sacó la calificación más alta en la prueba enlace, la que hacen en todas las escuelas de México, y estaba en Matamoros, Tamaulipas. Y resulta que no solo ella, Paloma Noyola se llama, sino todo su salón salió muy por encima del promedio en la prueba enlace. Y lo que pasó es que el maestro de escuela pública de la SEP les puso Khan Academy en ese salón. O sea, rompió el libro de la SEP y dijo, vamos a ver Khan Academy, y les enseñó matemáticas bien. Se usó la tecnología, el salón invertido, etc. Bueno, muchos salieron por encima del promedio. Ella sale en la portada de Wired Magazine. Algunos filantropistas mexicanos le dieron dinero. ¿Dónde terminó Paloma Noyola? Es la nueva Steve Jobs de México. Está armando una empresa. Nadie sabe. No nos importan nuestros genios. Sí, cada quien tiene un talento, pero ¿quién en México explota ese talento o lo apoya? O sea, ¿a quién le importa el talento de los demás en México? Somos una sociedad que no apoya el talento. Si invirtiéramos lo que invertimos en el talento de fútbol en este país, en los genios, en los próximos científicos, en los próximos economistas, en los próximos emprendedores, seríamos un país desarrollado. Pero nos importa más los que saben patear bien el balón. ¿Dónde
Ain't that the truth, man? Ain't that the truth? I want to show you this real quick. We're almost done. Revelation 16:13. Okay, so we're gonna find out who this so-called beast is. Revelation 16:13. Now, I don't know if you guys have read this before, but I'm gonna help you break this down real quick. Revelation 16:13. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use this right here. Hold on a second. Revelation 16. This is real quick, family. It says here, Revelation 16:13. All right, so let me read it. And I saw 3 unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouth of a dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophets. Now, this is what I understand. Not, whatever. It's up to you. You break it down. You discern it, and you tell me. So, in case you guys don't know, first of all, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of a dragon, and out of the mouth of a beast, and out of the mouth of a false prophet. So he saw frogs, beasts, and prophets coming out of the mouth of a dragon. So I find this funny because when I looked up the definition of frogs, or at least what it stands for, so it's pronounced this way.
Strong's G 944. Batrachas.
That's
Batrachas.
And that's Jiddish. It's not actually Hebrew. Okay, so just remember that. But it means a frog. But it's uncertain. A variation uncertain. Okay. But now, when you look at the frog can be both male and female. Frogs can be both male and female, and takes both of them to produce fertile eggs that will hatch into tadpoles of both genders. So I'm like, isn't this kind of like what they're pushing right now? Like male and female, women or men or women that want to be men, so they turn into men-looking women and get pregnant. So you'll see a man-looking person with a belly. Isn't that a beast? Or am I wrong? So it says here, and I saw 3 unclean spirits, like a frog. We know that is very, again, Bible says you should not be with other men, but again, that is a big deal in America, homosexuality. Well, frogs, we clearly see that they both come in male and female. When there's too many males in a so-called frog society, they'll turn into females. And then it says, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like a frog come out of the mouth of a dragon. So now, dragon, let me just kind of identify this. So out of this so-called, well, here, I'll show you. Dragon, interestingly enough, is translated like this. The word is in Greek, it's called drakon. Drakon, right?
Strong's G 1404. Drakon. Drakon.
A dragon, a great serpent, a name for Satan. So I was like, okay, but then check this out. The meaning of this word is also under derkomia, to look. What? Derkomia, to look, right? What is on the dollar bill? What do they have on the dollar bill? The system, the all-seeing eye. That is the beast that is preaching these frogs, homosexuality. This beast, this system, right, that we understand. This system, out of his mouth, you'll see frogs. And out of the mouth of a beast. So now you think, well, what is the definition of a beast? Now we understand if you go to Ecclesiastes 3:18, a beast is also a man. But check this out. It says the G40 2342 from the concordance, in case you guys don't know that I'm using this. So let's listen to this.
Strong's G 2342. Therian. Therian.
However, it has a diminutive root word. So demian means, like venomous, an animal, a wild animal, a brutal bestial man, savage, ferocious. But the root word of this is also hunting a wild beast to destroy, preparing destruction for man. So this beast has also savage men of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. So this system will push homosexuality, will push war, murder, pillaging, and it's okay. And out of his mouth, false prophets. Now, I don't think that's difficult to figure out. I don't think that's difficult to figure out. So again, let's go now that we understand. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs, homos, coming out of their system of the one eye, and it'll use men to beat and kill at war, and will use false prophets to shut your brain out and keep you just like this. Revelation 18:11, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom. Again, frogs. And Egypt, the beast, the system, the all-seeing eye, where our Lord was crucified, because they know who Quetzalcoatl was. Oh, you think I'm not going there? Oh, yeah. Culomiados. I'm going to come after you, my friend, and I'm going to destroy you in pieces. Here's the wisdom. Let him that hear it understand the count of the beast. Revelation 13:18. For it is the number of man, and his number is 666. Who is the owner of the financial system? Have you guys ever counted? I'll show you this real quick. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then inside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 6, 6. They own the system. They run the system. In Israel, they have the biggest, I'm going to tell you, so you know, because I'm not lying. Watch this. The biggest system of frogs in Jerusalem.
Also on Newspoint at this hour, thousands of Israelis joined Jerusalem's Pride Parade on Thursday. The parade, as some felt, was especially important as the far-right minister in charge for the security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, called the event an abomination in the past. Netanyahu, which includes multiple cabinet members who have expressed homophobic views in the past. Ben-Gvir was among the organizers of a beast march in 2006, which saw opponents of the Pride Parade walk alongside donkeys in Jerusalem. Now, Israel's Minister for Police, Itamar Ben.
Man, that's like, honestly, man, if you guys don't see what is going on right now, I thank you for that, brother. I'm gonna read it right now. If you guys don't see what's going on, if you don't see that this is exactly that what's coming out of that beast, the frog, the man, the evil man, and his incorrect teachings, his false doctrines of devils, this is all we see. Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues. Don't receive the plagues, family. I'm gonna tell you this right now. This is a perfect time for you to start seeing these things. This is not a coincidence, man. This is not a coincidence. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs, rainbows, coming out of the mouth of the dragon, the all-seeing eye, Sodom and Gomorrah, out of the mouth of the beast, meaning men, women willing to kill children at every cost for the sake of profiting. And out of the mouth of the false prophets, they're willing to sell your soul for the concept of money. Sakari, IUIC, ISUPK, all of you guys are part of this whole system. For they are the spirit of devils. Didn't they say that the world was going to end in 2000, family? BHI, you guys, that is your root. Are you still teaching? Stupid. Which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to battle of that great day of the God Almighty. Then it says, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments guarded, loined, studying, reading. Blessed are they that readeth and keep the commandments of the Most High. Lest he walk naked, meaning no understanding, doesn't know what's going on, hasn't repented, hasn't examined himself, and they see his shame. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon. Damn, man. That's to me, that's scary, family. Let's end it with these 3 scriptures, and that's it. Revelation. Actually, you know what? I think it was there, man. Yeah, no, perfect. Revelation 20:8. And thank you very much. Thank you, Father. It says here, Revelation 20:8, and shall go out of to. I'm sorry. Let me read verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. This is what's going on right now. And shall go out and deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog. Remember Ezekiel 38? Why do you think I read that yesterday? Ezekiel 38 matters. 8 and 8. And after many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt continue in the land that is brought back from the sword, and it is gathered out of many people against the mountain of Israel, our gente, which have always been waste. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud over the land, and thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Who is he talking about? Where are you at? Verse 18, and it shall come to pass that at the same time when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, say the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face. You guys think it's a joke? Enjoy your privileges right now. They're about to end. Verse 9. I'm sorry, and verse 8. And they shall go and shall go out and deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, and to whom it is is at the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophets are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. I don't know about you guys, but it's quite frankly our only hope. That is quite frankly our only hope. I think I wrote down the wrong scripture. Let me see if I can find it. Let me show this to you real quick. Give me a second. Revelation 17:1. Watch this. And there came one out of the 7 angels which had 7 vials and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show you the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And he carried her away with the spirit into the wilderness. And I saw a woman that sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornications. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon, the Great, the Mother Harlot, the abomination of the earth. I'm going to end it with this video here.
Hi.
I don't know if you guys want to, well, I'm just going to play it. And then after that, I'm done. So stick around because it's going to actually touch on similarities of that descending. Okay, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to start the video, and I'm going to skip one portion of it. And then it's let's see, 1, 2, about 4 minutes. All right. So let's stick around, and then we'll be done. Let me read that real quick, bro. Let me get that real quick. Oh no, I read that already. My bad. 2 Corinthians 6:17. Therefore, come out from among unbelievers, and separate yourselves from them, say the Lord. Don't touch their filthy things, and I will welcome you. That's a beautiful one, bro. Repent. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Revelation 19:2. For true and righteous are his judgments, for he that had judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and had avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. Oh, you damn right. Lord willing, we get to see it. Because you want to know something? After what we read here, because we're going to continue tackling these books. I'm not done. We're just getting started, family. We're going to go back into our history. I'm going to start feeding that spirit. I don't mind talking about Canaan, but I'm kind of done with y'all, man. You're too easy. I thought you'd be a challenge. You're actually not. I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest with you. I expected more. And quite frankly, I guess maybe I shouldn't have. Let's continue and stick around. I'm not done. We got another 5 minutes and that's it.
Changing, and it's changing fast. We're exiting a period of incredible growth and relative stability, where after the most destructive war in human history, the U.S. rose to power as the global leader.
The American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory.
And as that leader, the U.S. created new structures like NATO and the World Trade Organization. They established rules about trade, rules about economics, rules about justice, rules that they based on Western philosophical values, now being projected around the globe by a country with an astounding amount of alliances and military hardware. For a time, another great empire challenged that order, operating with a different set of rules, a different set of values and philosophies, trading with their own bloc and working with their own alliances. But it couldn't last. The collapse of the Soviet Union in the 90s left the US and their rich allies as the sole setters of the rules, the holders of the power. So the US doubled down, and their system of liberal values, democracy, and free trade spread and fortified throughout the world. But when you're the global leader, when you're the one who sets all the rules, you get to decide when you follow your own rules, and when you don't. Being the global superpower has turned more into being the global policeman. Over these last 75 years, the US has been known to violate the values, norms, and ideals that it built the whole global system off of, cozying up to strongman dictators, throwing out democratically elected governments, fueling regional wars, and generally trying to stamp out communism across the globe. And anyone who didn't want to play by America's rules was cast out as an insane pariah, in need of regime change.
The Iraqi regime has plotted to develop anthrax and nerve gas and nuclear weapons for over a decade.
And yet, despite this double game the US has played, this system has been a part of the most peaceful period of human history. Major empires don't fight each other like they used to. And a major reason is because they came to understand that getting in line with the American-led system would mean economic opportunity and
that getting in line with the American system would mean opportunity, economic opportunity, which is what we just read right now, where it says, Revelation 17:1, and there came out of and there came one out of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying, Come unto me, come thither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication, the beast, the system, the profitability, capitalism.
They used to. And a major reason is because they came to understand that getting in line with the American-led system would mean economic opportunity and growth. It wasn't worth a war. Fighting against this system often meant destruction and losing deals for all sides. This peace was also helped by the existence of the most powerful weapons ever invented, which great powers didn't dare use on each other. The American-led system has meant stability and an incredible amount of trade, leading to a dramatic reduction in global poverty. But that era is coming to an end.
Hey, it's me, not in the VO booth here on camera, so I can just tell you about something.
Yeah, no, you know what, bro? You're right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna stop 100%. I'm just balancing it out. But man, listen, all those channels they take, why don't they come here and tell me how wrong I am? I'm waiting. I'm disappointed, to be honest. I thought, hey, yo pensé que eran fierro, güey. I thought, hey, you thought you negros were out fierro. I'm hardcore. I'll debate you. I'll get on the phone. Well, what's up? What's up, homeboy? How come you don't ever hit the link? Sakari, ISUPK. I know IUIC doesn't do it. I don't understand that. So I get it, bum brother. I get it. Don't get me wrong, bro. I'm not gonna stop. But I wonder, man. Like, I'm just kind of like, bro, you weak, man. Y'all are weak. I honestly expected more. I honestly expected more from them. But if all they're gonna do is show me pictures and braids and you know, nomás, como eso ese, güey, nomás ladran, güey, nomás ladran y no muerden para nada, cabrón. Hey, look, listen. I'll tell you this right now, bro. Anybody here who's watching that is of them, hit the link and show me how wrong I am. I'm just saying. So they do let them have a gazillion videos, gazillion channels. All I gotta say is, where is your tamales in your kitchen table? Where's your aguacate, cabrón? Where's your ¿cómo se llaman? Chapulines, güey. ¿Dónde está la masa? ¿Dónde está el tomate? ¿Dónde está el pico de gallo? Where? Where's your unleavened bread? I'm sorry. Where? No, all you got to show me. You just going to show me feathers and supposedly long hair? Or because a black woman has a thin nose, now she's argente? Or she's an original native? Or because Cayenne Pepper said, oh, we're all Indios. If all you have is pictures, that you ain't got shit. Let's continue.
To the US-led order, China, which until recently was the most populous country on Earth, has risen to become the second largest economy and world's largest military based on active forces. And more, China sees the US as an unfair policeman of the global order, only holding to the rules that benefit them. And this projection of values and philosophies from the West to the leaders in China, this looks a lot like the modern-day version of colonialism. They see this hypocritical American empire, drunk on power that they've had since 1945, an America that is increasingly defensive because it's in decline, with its broken politics, divided people, and a complacency with their spot at the top. So China is building a competing system. In March 2023, China's leader Xi Jinping announced his Global Civilization Initiative, where he stated that countries must, quote, refrain from imposing their own values or models on others, and refrain from stoking ideological confrontation. So instead of the hypocritical colonialism of the US imposing their human rights and democracy around the world, his system would be transactional, stripping away the veil of what he views as a hypocritical, rules-based order that is built to basically benefit one group. The Chinese system would be built on common interests, beneficial deals, and opportunistic alliances, not purported philosophical values. And unlike decades past, China now has the military and the money to make it happen, to ignore the rules of the global superpower and to make their own, to engage with the world in a different way, to pursue Chinese interests outside of the system. And so now
Illuminati.
Family, this is the last video. Appreciate you guys being here. I'm gonna finish it with this, and then I'm gonna hold on a second. I'm gonna finish it with this, and then I'm gonna play a song. All right, so stick around. It's a short 2 minutes, and yeah, hope you guys got edified. And you know what, bro? I mean, I'm still waiting for them, dude. I'm still waiting, bro. Let me know what channel these are, man. I think I need to start going over there. Let's see what they got for me. Let me know. Hey, family, stick around. 2 minutes long. Shalom. You guys have a good night, man. I hope you guys are edified. Just this is important, okay? So just don't leave yet. Oh, make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, share, please. And then when this is done, post on the channel, like on the video. It's important for the algorithm. Once again, family, we don't ask for money here. It's all free. You shouldn't be asking for money when it comes to historical facts and scripture. It shouldn't cost you a damn thing to know who you are according to the Bible at all. And if any of you guys are out there getting charged, you should think twice about why you're getting charged. You shouldn't cost you a damn thing to know who you are according to the Bible. Let's go.
The Illuminati is that shadowy cabal that controls the entire world and ensures free will's an illusion. They've got a big Facebook page. Celebrities like Jay-Z are accused of being members. And there are weird YouTubers like this guy.
They had weirdos standing up everywhere, and then Beyonce, show a document cam shot of this if you can. She does the Illuminati symbol. Tell folks what you saw.
But what about the real history of the Illuminati and how it became what it is today? This is Bavaria, and in 1776, Adam Weishaupt, a law professor, founded the Illuminati. It's real. He wanted to spread Enlightenment ideals around the world. The goal was to infiltrate the monarchy and make them more enlightened by entering their ranks. Even though they were so high-minded, they had weird rituals. See these owls? The Illuminati really loved them. And they had invented hierarchies like novice, minerval, and illuminated. Even though they were weird, they did have some success around the world. Anywhere from 650 to 2,800 members infiltrated Freemason chapters, may have had influential members like the writer Goethe, and even might have influenced the Jacobins, the political club that spurred the French Revolution to its most radical heights. But they were destroyed in 1785. This is Karl Theodor. He was the Duke of Bavaria, and that year he banned secret societies. That included the Illuminati. Most historians think that it worked, and the Illuminati disappeared. But if that's true, then why do we still think Drake's Illuminati today, just because he wears owl sweaters? Since the beginning, conspiracy theories have been part of the Illuminati. This guy, Xavier von Zwack, actually did have plans to take over the world that were found after the Illuminati was banned. American historians and preachers thought the Illuminati planted some seeds for the French Revolution, and George Washington even wrote a letter that claimed the Illuminati had once been a threat. But the Illuminati lost the limelight thanks to the Freemasons. This is George Washington as a Freemason, and a lot of founding fathers really were Freemasons. That inspired the anti-Masonic Party. It was a legitimate movement with big names like John Quincy Adams, and the Illuminati paranoia faded around the world. So how did the myth stay alive? There were always random books like this one from 1918 or book reviews that mention the Illuminati, but most people think the Illuminatus book trilogy of the 1970s deserves credit for bringing the Illuminati back. It might also be why weird secret symbols like these, pyramids and triangles, are associated with the Illuminati. It was a funny series and gave new life to the conspiracy for an ironic, connected age. They were an evil organization bent on ruling the world, sure, but they were also kind of funny. The Illuminati was vague enough to be refit to any purpose, from the New World Order to religious paranoia to pop culture curio like angels and demons. It became a joke. But you might believe that's what the Illuminati wants you to think if you notice the 14 evil yellow triangles of power hidden inside this video. The Illuminati really only endures because it's disappeared and can look like anything. There's nothing to worry about.
So this is my humble little crazy wall, and this is disadvantage.
Todo el barrio prendido, siempre ando bien cuido, siempre poniendo ruido. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, yo defiendo mi tierra, no me dejo de nadie, yo cuido a los míos, mi raza se aferra. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera, yo la levanto por donde quiera, verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera, el barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera, yo la levanto por donde quiera, verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera, el barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Me voy tendido, me voy empinando mi bote, un poco mareado por la bebida y el borlote, me tiene hasta la riata la gente con su mitote, pero me despreocupo, me pelan todo el garrote, me para la chota, ya es por mi apariencia, que hay tantos delitos, que hay tanta demencia, yo no cargo nada, no quiero que chinga su madre. A la dica este sistema nos quieren ver abajo, pero tumbar gente, quien les dijo que es trabajo. Puro chingar al indio, váyanse mucho al carajo. Loco, no me rajo, lo bueno porque
se armó la alianza más pesada del país. Todo el mundo ya conoce las rimas de estos MCs. Pa' ponerme más feliz, unos paisas de hachís, mis paisas en el gabacho, bien truchas con la polis. Loco en Guanajuato, con los ojos bien tumbados, de coto con el Quesada, rifando por todos lados. Atento si prendo un blunt en cabina cuando grabo. Represento Nuevo León junto a mi carnal el Davo. Cuando voy pa' Jalisco el pasado está olvidado. Con el perro de la C bien grifo, pedo y enfiestado. Chécate mi banderón, unido como había soñado. Bien bajado ese balón, compa Lefty bien bajado. Puro hip hop mexa hasta que amanezca. Pásenme un mezcal y que no se apague la yesca. Ya saben que aquí andamos pilas pa' lo que se ofrezca. Si escribo estas rimas es pa' que se enorgullezca.
verde marihuana, blanca cocaína, roja la sangre que escurre de una nueva herida. Yo salí de la ruina, nunca se me olvida. Con disciplina y respeto sigo en siempre la movida. Ando bien high, la vida es un freestyle. Disfruta lo que hay, vivo entre el bien y el mal, carnal. Crazy life todo el día, vienda live. Pinto tu barda con spray, lo que canto es real. Azules y rojas las sirenas que me persiguen. No suben pa' la virgen, salen todos cuando chifle. Mi barrio no lo pisen, que andamos todos grises. Maldito policía, no quiero que me revises. Prende la mota en Canala o en Hitter. Ando con mi flota y el dealer. Tenemos lo que se te ofrezca, tú nada más pide. Me dijo mi madre que de la envidia me cuide.
Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera.
Ya, ábranse cabrones, llegó el mexicano partiendo sin necesidad de palancas. Todos jugamos en la misma liga, yo soy titular, tú ves desde la banca. Disfruto cada cosa que me pasa, colaboro y mi carrera se levanta. El mismo cabrón que antes no tenía nada se la pasa viajando y dice que canta. Por eso me caga enfermarme de la garganta. Pero aguanta, traigo mata natural y humo de planta. 2, 3 cabrones dando lata y yo haciendo más plata. De esto la vida se trata y pa' que sepas no es barata. MC da bolos desbarata con cada escalón que sube. Yo tuve la suerte de hacerme fama en YouTube. Hay 2, 3 raperos de antaño que me bajé de su nube. Los mandé pa' su casa y de premio hasta les pagué el Uber. Si alguien me tira es porque sabe bien que domino el negocio y quiere de mi parte. No quiero darlas de grande, pero si me tiras la neta me toca humillarte. Soy capitán, llevo el estandarte. Somos muy pocos los que hacemos arte. Este flow si es de Marte, tú dale like y comparte.
México lindo y bandido, diario a Diosito le pido que me cuide a la familia si un día el cora ya no late. Estoy bendecido porque me cuidan los míos. Orgullosamente me exatamos locos de remate. Jaque mate, no hable de volar si viene gateando. La cosa por la frontera se pone violenta, no importa el rango. Toda la raza jalándole duro, si hay algo seguro es la muerte en donde ando. El sudor y la sangre en la frente, los de alzada controlando. Se roban la atención, ya saben quiénes son. Vatos locos con sazón como el de un corridón. No quiera tomarme el pelo si ando todo pelón. Levantando la bandera, viva México cabrón. Es el perrito de la C. La bandera con un águila, Simón, mi tierra es esta. Me vale si mi piel o si mi acento les molesta. Acá jalan horas extras, nunca duermen la siesta. Están los que van pa'l jale y los que la viven de fiesta. Otros que en el pintón se tatúan de corazón. 3 colores en el pecho, morirían por su nación. Aunque su puto gobierno los puso en la situación de no terminar la escuela y terminar en la prisión. ¡Viva México, ladrones! ¿Qué hubo el expresidente? Ya saben que por mí policías chinguen a 20. Y ahí están mis 20 pa' la cagua. Aguas, que es tierra caliente de Chiapas hasta Chihuahua. Wow, 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 yipi-yo, yipi-yucas. Buenas, Montecrin, Aguas, Tijuas y San Lucas. San Luis Potoyes, Mataulipas, La Puebluca. Dime si o no loco, acá tienen lo que buscas.
Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera. Soy mexicano, esa es mi bandera. Yo la levanto por donde quiera. Verde, blanco, rojo hasta que muera. El barrio prendido ya quemó afuera.
Puro hip hop mexa, perros, 2023.
Ey yo, ey yo. Somos la
artistas de la zona. Y vengo con la familia again. ¿Cómo dice? Llaman a Red.
Traigo el mensaje puro y crudo para el momento. No palabras vanas que rompen los sentimientos. Lucharé y derribaré los muros del lamento. Pídeme pues te daré los sueños que están muertos. Nunca el demonio dio mensajes de amor, pero tampoco los dio el ángel que nos abandona. Quizás miremos diferente el reloj, pero tu cielo es el infierno donde el amor murió. Political violence, criminal physical redemption hasta cacaca del baile. Typical style, musical fraile. Mucha es la promesa en la que se han llevado el aire. Love and love and love. Siente verdad como no en mi corazón. No more, no more, no more. It's a reggae cypher. Feed the world. What time is it? Es de reventar el beat. Throw the jungle in the street. Reggae music on the hit. Romperemos las barreras que crearon para ti, pues llegaron los señores y la paz de nuevo aquí. What time is it? Es de reventar el beat. Throw the jungle in the street. Reggae music on the hit. Romperemos las barreras que crearon para ti, pues llegaron los señores y la paz de nuevo aquí.
Fue que me brotaron alas y ganas de volar. En las buenas mi terreno lleno, en las malas solar. Un muro que decorar, mis hermanos me sirven de guía, mi estrella polar. Muerdan los hilos, me duele hasta respirar. Solo quiero ver verdad. Sigo buscándome lejos de lo que piensas. Más fácil de lo que crees, el esfuerzo trae recompensas. Vale la experiencia si es intensa. No tires de la cuerda si está tensa. Miraban al ocaso con tristeza. Las estrellas devolvían con grandeza su mirar. Nos vimos floreciendo en la maleza. La belleza de las piezas y comienzan a encajar.
Es de reventar el beat. Throw the jungle in the street. Reggae music on the hit. Romperemos las barreras que crearon para ti, pues llegaron los señores y la paz de nuevo aquí. What time is it? Es de reventar el beat. Throw the jungle in the street. Reggae music on the hit. Romperemos las barreras que crearon para ti, pues llegaron los señores y la paz de nuevo aquí.
51, 52, con un micro de bambú, más vueltas que Passepartout. Me siento en la old school. It's magnetic kung fu, it's a reggae magnatur. Por las almas sonrientes que acompañan a Zazú. En bambalinas y balú, son rimas de menú, no salidas de Benur, pero calidad y del sur. Homie, always lonely, but I feeling like a gangsta. 52, 53, a mí sí me ves venir, por eso me llaman King, ese fue mi devenir. De marchar o seguir, nunca tuve que elegir, la music me eligió a mí, no tengo nada más que decir. Saifa, Puniga, Loba, Grimble, Fire, Killaman, Smoker, Chusta, Feel Light, Rasta, Child Metal, Kimanes, original a reggae, Saifa again.
Interna en la villa del pingüino, de los que alinean la antena y los que se encuentran dormidos zarandean tus emociones cual barril de vino, cosas feas quizás en tus ideas, pero aquí no, yo no atino, disparo sin mirar a todo aquel vampiro que el diente quiera hincarme, bro. Si lo digo, no es para pensar, sino para aclarar lo que de siempre estás pensando. Acaba el tan magnífico, imposible de torcer metal, so start my friend, yeah. Reggae warriors again, making connection after connection, my new world, creating the freedom from them, me more. Nanny boy, represent this game.
What time is it? Es de reventar el beat. Throw the jungle in the street. Reggae music on the hit. Romperemos las barreras que crearon para ti, pues llegaron los señores y la paz de nuevo aquí. What time is it? Es de reventar el beat. Throw the jungle in the street. Reggae music on the hit. Romperemos las barreras que crearon para ti, pues llegaron los señores y la paz de nuevo aquí.
Falta presentación si existe nivel. Sobreviviendo en Babilonia escribí al papel mis problemas cuando al final pude entender que para ser feliz solo tienes que querer, que solamente hay una vida y es para vivir. Busca siempre una alternativa para seguir. No dejes nunca que te digan que no es así. Y Prende un poco de sativa para estar chill. Ey, superando ansiedades con el humo de gancha. Manchas de un pasado trágico en la cancha. Seguimos siendo fuertes, su mierda no me engancha. Mientras otros esperando a que lleguen en lancha. No matter where you come, no matter where you come from. Solo importa que prestes atención a este sound. Desde the original, Killer Man al mando. Oh na na na.
Mira, soy un warrior, sonido legendario. Disfruto cada segundo cuando me subo al escenario. Tengo fuego en los labios, sigo cual mercenario. Pasos de gigante y cora revolucionario. Siento que es necesario, suena el reggae en los barrios. Para que cale el mensaje y para salvar a los más sabios. Entre en mi imaginario, que mocheques bancarios. Si vienes con la mala vibra, mejor bro, cambia tu itinerario. Ya, 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 ya. Cuando ruge el león suena la música real. Venimos con el ya, 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 ya. Sonido de guión es el sonido original. Ya, 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 ya. Reggae de corazón es el que se hace en unidad. Ya, 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 ya. What time is it? De reventar el beat. Reggae music pan de hit. Romperemos las barreras que crearon para ti. Pues llegaron los señores y la paz de nuevo aquí. What time is it? De reventar el beat. Reggae music pan de hit. Romperemos las barreras que crearon para ti. Pues llegaron los señores y la paz de nuevo aquí.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. Tu cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.